Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another installment of the match review and reaction show here on Casually FC. This is your match reaction for Crystal Palace 1, Chelsea 1. The run of bad form continues onto 4 games now, and rightfully so, I would say, to an extent. Chelsea fans are in full panic mode, and to an extent, I think a lot of it is overblown. Today, we're going to be talking about the match. I'm here accompanied by Oliver, as well as Scott, and myself, Marshall DBDX, or Casually, or whatever you wish to desire to call me. Not very happy with the result, obviously. But that being said, ladies and gents, before we start off today's show, big up to every single one of you. Also, let me know in the chat how everything sounds in accordance to this brand new piece of hardware I'm using, which is a brand new microphone. So, by all means, let me know how things sound on my end, on your end, and all of the above. And as always, be sure to smash up the like button if you haven't done so already, which helps out the channel and the growth, and also helps out with just me being happy overall. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And then last but not least, check out memberships if you are already a subscriber. We have 4 different tiers of membership starting at 99p, all of which sounds proper Chels, exactly. All of which helps out with the channel. So big up to every single one of you. And let's get into it by starting off with the quick summary of the match, of today's match. So a few changes that I think a lot of us Chelsea fans were asking for. I think the biggest one being Joshua Acheampong getting his start as a Chelsea player in the Premier League, his first official start, I believe, in the Premier League for Enzo Maresca, and it was a much needed change after the result of last match with the Sassi playing there, with having Tosin play there, so on and so forth, both of which played, I believe, 90 minutes as well. It was we were due to see this player play. It was a much needed change, and I think he performed really well. We will discuss overall performance and general performances today as well later on in the show. But to get the ball rolling, first half, Chelsea come out looking pretty decent, creating multiple chances, and we looked a little bit rejuvenated. We had, what, 5 days rest since the last encounter against Ipswich, where we lost 2-0. And Palmer is the one to get us into the scoreboard in very neat fashion. Brilliant goal from Palmer. It was a nice piece of play from Jadon Sancho. Another assist on his record, on his GNA record this season. Getting us the 1-0 lead into the second half, because there were multiple chances that were made for Jackson, that were made for Palmer, that were made for Neto, and so on and so forth, for all our attackers, really. And we weren't clinical enough to put them away. So we go into the first half, and the first half with a 1-0 lead. Starting into the second half, we concede a little bit of possession. We concede a little bit of chances. Robert Sanchez has put a bit to the sword for the first 15 minutes or so. But nonetheless, the chances for Chelsea still come. And again, not clinical enough from Chelsea. Unfortunately, if you don't score goals, goals will be scored on you. And sadly, Mateta gets an opportunity from dispossessing the very person that got us the first goal. An error from Cole Palmer that led to a Mateta opportunity that he puts away, giving Crystal Palace the goal they need to end this tie in a draw. 1-1 once again, by the way. Figured maybe we could, stick out a clean sheet win by 1 goal, and unfortunately, that's just not the case. I think more criticisms of Maresca are to be had today, maybe for different things, primarily the late substitutions. But I do need to add, we were winning prior to the substitution, and a few minutes afterwards, we conceded the goal. But hey, maybe we needed an injection of, Mark Guiu, considering Jackson was missing multiple opportunities in this game and should have been hooked a little earlier. But regardless of the fact, that's what we're going to be here to discuss. It's a very, very frustrating draw, very frustrating 1-1. I mean, Oliver, we'll start with you, my friend. Your thoughts on today's game, man?
I can't really say much different from like the recent games, to be honest. I mean, yeah, we have created the chances. That like you can't doubt that. It's not a creativity issue like it has been in say previous seasons. The finishing's gone down though. Like the confidence just isn't there anymore. We've been putting these chances away earlier season, and it's not happening now. And we're just as susceptible defensively. And when we were susceptible defensively, at least you could outscore a team. You can't do that now. So you have to look at the players for that. And then the manager, of course, again, the late substitutions, and leaving Cole Palmer on the pitch, you can take him off. Like, I'm not saying that like Felix had to come on, that Nkunku had to come on, but like it's just a theme across all the games that Palmer stays on no matter what, and like doesn't have to be like that. Jackson, you can take him off earlier for Guiu. Maybe Guiu gets a bit more into the game because he was putting pressure on that back line. Someone punted the ball up the pitch and he won a throw on from what seemed like an impossible situation. So maybe with more time in the game, he does more and puts them on the back foot. It's just not good enough at the end of the day, though. It's 2 points out of possible 12. So we'll obviously get into it, but I'm not happy, and I think you can all understand.
Prime, my friend, it's been a while since you've been on here. We've missed you, sorta. What are your thoughts on today's match? I'll take your silence as acceptance of a mediocre performance.
I was on the last stream, Marshall, but okay.
You weren't.
Chelsea. I was impressed. I like how we played in the first half. I like how we set up. We played like a 4-1-1, 4-3-3 shape. I was really impressed by Josh Acheampong, considering playing at a centre back in a back two. Looked very, very comfortable. And we created an abundance of chances. Could have been 2 up or more. But you guys can hear me, right? Or see me?
We can do both.
My thing just went. My thing went blank, and I didn't hear you guys. Whoever. What am I saying? Yeah, but I said it on Lewis's channel for the watch along in the second half. I said that this second half reminds me of the second half we had against Palace when we played them at the Bridge, where we're just wasting all these chances and eventually they'll get their goal and we'll just try and scramble late and not be able to win the game. Our last few games, it's been happening all season, to be fair, when our forwards are not on it, we start conceding and we end up losing games because they're not bailing us out. You guys remember against games like the Brighton game and against Wolves, how hectic it was in the first half, or at least for certain periods at the start of the game, but our forwards were able to bail us out. Palmer scored 4 goals in the first half against Brighton, and Madueke got a hat-trick against Wolves. Our forwards aren't doing that now. And we don't control games anywhere near enough. I've been saying that all season. We had a little patch where we beat Leicester 2-1, and then we beat Villa, and even the Brentford game we had that little patch where we were doing well and controlling games, and part and parcel to that was because Lavia was playing in midfield, and Caicedo was inverted from right back, and it looked. But now it's just Caicedo and Enzo are just being overworked because we have no other options to be able to take them out in certain in games. Jackson, again, I think he played, aside from the few chances he missed, I think he played well overall, but I think he's been burnt out. I think he needs a bit of a rest. But as we've shown, we don't really have anyone else. Maresca doesn't seem to want to give you more chances. I think he should get more chances. I agree with Oliver, where he said that you should have came on a lot earlier. But yeah, it's just kind of frustrating. The subs as well, Maresca should be coming a lot earlier and a lot quicker. We're being quite reactive now when earlier in the season we were quite proactive. So I don't get why that's all of a sudden switched. But things that are happening, I'm not necessarily surprised by. I've been expecting this dip. That's why I've been saying get through this period until we face City, and that can show me that we can go for the title mentality-wise. But yeah, it is what it is. We need a centre back in January come in to. I still think we will get top four, but like to actually really secure it, because Newcastle are now in form. I don't know how long they'll keep that up for. You have Villa who are going to be there competing with us as well. So I don't want to put anything to chance. I don't want it to go down to the wire for top four, because
you're 2 points below us.
Yeah,
you're there as well. I don't want anything to go down to the wire or down a chance, because I know something will fuck up. I know.
Excuse me.
What's his name? Sanchez will fuck up or something. Oh, that first half from Sanchez as well. Oh my god, I wanted to rip my eyes out. Like that first half gives Palace, because Palace didn't do anything to us in the first half, but just the way Sanchez kept giving them the ball, that gives them confidence to grow into the game for the second half, allowing them to get into it and score. Like, we just do stupid things, and I don't even necessarily think I'm not even going to blame Maresca for it. I think it's on the players. But yeah, he keeps playing these certain players, playing the Sassy, playing Gusto, still persisting with Sanchez. Like, if those little things end up costing us top four potentially, that's on Maresca, because you keep playing these players. If you can't fix them and we can't improve them, then stop playing them. Play Jorgensen, because he's not worse. There's no way he's worse. From the games we've seen, he's not worse than Sanchez. Just play him.
I mean, listen, I get not wanting Sanchez, but I don't think Sanchez is kind of like the last person I want to talk about in this game, because I don't think he's really at fault for pretty much anything. However, I did want to go off of what you said something before. Before I do though, I want to just shout out Real Chris. Big up to Real Chris. Just shout out to Real Chris, because he just came out of surgery. So he's recovering from that ACL. So big up to Chris. He's doing all right. So he's recovering. Hopefully, wish him well. And
yeah, I'm sure his new breasts will be fine when they're fixed.
Wait, are you joking? Does he actually have an ACL injury?
Yeah, he does.
Yes,
he's had an ACL injury
ACL.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me
he needed
is
to tell insurance. Yeah.
Wait, so what you're telling me is
he went to Turkey.
What you're telling me is Chris got surgery and Fofana refuses to get surgery. Crazy.
Yeah, no, Chris Fofana and Lavia and them, man.
Chris took Fofana's surgery spot.
Yeah,
sure.
Selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
get better. Chris. ACL with other torn ligament. Oh, he's the Reece James of the casual. He's Reece James.
Double D's is crazy. Hey, listen, we need a little chuckle, because obviously the results aren't good. We're not in like great spirits in terms of that. But hey, Chelsea life is life. So big up to Chris. Hopefully you're doing all right. But you had said something before about you expected this drop off. What I wanted to ask you, and I guess we'll spread this out to the rest of the panel, we'll open this up, right, is did you guys expect the drop off to be this bad? Not to say that this is bad. Like, we've seen worse drop offs. Obviously, I'm just being a little reactionary. It's 4 games. It's not good, obviously. But did any of us expect the drop off to persist like this and to be as much of a whimper as it's been lately in terms of the attack? Only 2 goals in the last 4 games.
Well, it's been.
Is anyone else having issues with my sound, or is it just UX?
No.
Let me know in the chat, guys.
Maybe it's his volume. Maybe he needs to raise his volume up, or maybe it's just
sounds fine to me.
Device. But yeah, no.
We'll continue.
The reason why I'm saying it's been coming is because this one. Okay. The reason why I say it's been coming is because, like I've mentioned, certain games where it's been like this. When we played Palace earlier in the season, it was very much like this, where we scored early from Jackson. We had chances to make it 2-0, 3-0 and kill off the game. Madueke had particularly chances in the second half that he didn't take. Palace then equalized, and we ended up playing in a draw. When we played Wolves, we played Brighton. We ended up being a shaky start in both games, making mistakes, but we were able to just win the game by a blowout because of our forwards, because of Jackson, because of Palmer, because of Noni, with a hat-trick against Wolves. Our forwards these last 4 games haven't been scoring. They've been mainly hitting the post and the crossbar. So, with that, the mistakes we've still been making the same mistakes we've had all season at the back. So like it's been coming, and like I've been saying all season, we don't control games. If we were able to just stay 1-0 up and just like, whether it's by defending well or just keeping possession and not making mistakes and just win a game 1-0, I'd be so happy with that. And Maresca has been saying this as well earlier in the season. His preview for one of the Conference League games, I think it was after we played Brighton. He did a preview for our Conference League game, and they were asking him about Cole Palmer or whatever, and him scoring 4 goals and a half. And he said something like, "I'm sure for you guys, it's entertaining the first half, but for me, I prefer how we played in the second half because we actually kept possession of the ball and actually, we actually kept possession of the ball and controlled the game. But we've barely been doing that really all season. Against Leicester, we controlled the game ball possession-wise and just kept the game under control. Against Villa, we did the same thing, kept the game under control. Even against Brentford, I think for the most part, we kept the game under control. But there's been games like this where, like these last few games, there's been games like Palace, like Fulham, like Everton. But you haven't seen it because Palmer will score 4 goals and a half, or Madueke will get a hat-trick. And no one will talk about these things because we're so hyped up to say Palmer's the best because of his 4 goals against Brighton. But where was he today? I know he scored early, but again, he also had chances. Jackson today also had chances to be able to win the game and make it be 2-0 or even 3. And then we don't have to worry about the chance that Palace had, because we only had 1 shot on target. 15 shots, I think, and we had 1 shot on target. That's a forward issue. Our forwards not being on form. I don't think it's necessarily down to Maresca. But yeah, sorry, I'm speaking too much. If anyone else wants to talk on that.
Yeah, I think we should be surprised because Brian's mentioned those games, those were early in the season. For the past 3 months, it hasn't been like that at all. We've been capitalizing. When we have conceded or not, we've been more than confident in getting back in the game or keeping hold of the game or winning the points. The thing is that the last 2 games, especially, we created enough chances to probably win both games by a huge margin, and we haven't been able to take them. That was the thing. We are. It's a point of. I think like we had no, we had one shot on target, but other chances went just about wide or anything like that. They should have been taken. We're creating enough chances to score more. We're just not taking them. We're just having our bad run at this moment in time. It's in the middle of the season. That's what it is. Today's game is just simply for me that we couldn't finish. I don't even think, like I keep saying, I don't think even without Palmer losing that ball in the middle, I don't think Palace score. I think we just railed out a 1-0 win today. Without that, that's the thing. I don't think there's any big issues about that. You can go and conjecture about who you should have bought on or anything like that, but I didn't think there was much. They weren't. Sanchez made one decent save. The header that went over.
Yeah, he wasn't too busy today.
It wasn't like he wasn't bombarded. He sort of blocked their shots, or Gusto made a couple of good interceptions right on the edge of the area in the second half. For me, it wasn't. You can go on about subs and stuff like that, but that was really after they got that surprise equaliser. You could say they might have had more coming into the game
before that equalizer happened.
Yeah, but they weren't doing anything.
But no, that's what I mean. I agree with you because I think I feel like there's a narrative out there that part of the reason or a big chunk of the reason that we lost today's match was because of the late subs again. And to an extent, I hear that argument to an extent. But at one point too, you got to look at the context, and sometimes you make too many subs and it fucks up whatever you have going on in terms of momentum. You are winning the game 1-0. Right. Sometimes you need to see out the game and win it 1-0 instead of trying to cushion it by getting another goal and chasing another goal. And I get that to an extent, but I feel that, just in this conversation alone, I feel like my approach has changed a little, that Maresca needs to stop trying to rely on winning the game by one goal.
I don't think he did.
Making the subs earlier.
I don't think he did.
To try to get another one.
I don't think he did try. He wasn't settling for 1-0. He wasn't trying to preserve that. He wasn't trying to preserve that 1-0. We were trying to get. Listen, as always, especially in the second half recently, we got to the edge of the area or the box, and we had that Jackson chance, a couple of Enzo chances that went wide, but sometimes it was just the wrong pick of the pass. That's what it was. I don't think it was like he didn't sit on a 1-0. He's never sat on a 1-0 lead or anything like that. Maybe that's what he needs to learn, but today he didn't do that. I mean. And the subs were late, but they scored in the 82nd minute. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, how are you going to, he's making the subs. I'm sure he was planning on making subs just as, maybe he was by the time he got to the 80th minute, maybe he was thinking, okay, looks like we're not going to get a second. Let's just exchange it. Let's, boost up the energy, bring on Mark Gui, bring on Madueke, stuff like that, just for energy, and then we'll just see our 1-0 win. Because, like I said, I just don't think they were going to score.
Mm-hmm.
So can we address the elephant in the room? Here's the thing. I want my lemon man back. Okay, the lemons absorb all the bad things.
Get this guy off, man. Take your lemons and suck.
There's no way you're saying you want. There's no way you're sitting here telling me you want.
I am not a clown.
This guy back.
Get off the stream and suck a lemon yourself, man.
But all jokes aside, because I've been seeing this Maresca out bullshit now, and Maresca in there tactically, and all the bullshit I've been seeing now. Here's the thing: it's the same old, right? First half of the season, we were the best pre-pausing finishing team in the league. We had the highest conversion rate in the league until Leicester, right? That's not happening anymore. And me and Scott have been saying this since September. We need another goal scorer. We're saying the left wing for now, but we need another goal scorer. If you even look at the Liverpool sides, Salah was scoring 30 goals a season. You had Mane scoring 20 goals in the league that season, and then Firmino would be 15 to 17. Okay, if you look at the Holland season, Holland scored 40 fucking goals with Phil Foden scoring over 10. Right? And then last season, you had Phil Foden scoring like 15 in the league plus, and then Holland scoring 28. You need to put in 50%.
That's Maresca calling. That's Poch calling.
Sorry, you need to put in like 50. You need to put in 50 goals from your starting front three, and that's not gonna. We have only Palmer, and then we have Jackson. We need a third option.
Yeah, no, I agree. We do need. That's the thing. And this is
I
the
don't think that's true in modern football anymore. Just don't. We're not seeing it. Liverpool has Salah and who? Maybe Diaz is the next one. That's it.
I think in this team in particular,
Man City have Haaland and no one.
Yeah, but I think we're seeing with Man City. I think we're seeing with Man City. I think without him, like up until recently, where Savio's got involved, if it wasn't Haaland, it was no one. And I think we have a similar-ish problem until because obviously I think Palmer scored a couple recently, but I think outside of Jackson, if it wasn't coming from him, it was coming from no one. Really, like you were asking for either a wonder goal from Sancho, Neto to shoot once in every 4 opportunities he gets on target, because neither of them are really G&A guys in terms of goals. Sancho's had a couple of good seasons, but Neto especially isn't. If it wasn't Palmer and Palmer was doing most of the creative work, if it wasn't Jackson, it was no one.
But this is it's going to sound real simplistic when I say this, and it is meant to be. But someone just put in the chat, if we swap Haaland for Jackson today, we win that 3 or 4-0, don't we? Let's be honest. We do.
Yeah.
Dude, that's we can go on about, and it's not against. This isn't me taken away from Jackson. Like I said on Lewis's stream, it was just I don't, and it's not even against Mark Gui. I don't want Mark Gui as an option. He's not ready.
No, I agree.
That's the thing, and I said it at the start of the season after the transfer window. I said we'd be in a top 4 race because we didn't. There was 2 positions we didn't. For me, we didn't. Stock up in, and that was goalkeeper, and that was striker. Right? I mean, what CP thinks. Even he would probably admit if Victor Osimhen's in one of those chances, he's bagging at least one of those chances. It's just and that's the problem. You see, we can go on. We can look at that. The opportunity would have been when he missed that chance, right? And if we had whoever on the bench, whatever you want to name, a Delap and Osimhen, a Victor Gyökeres, a Jonathan David or something like that, right? And those are just names, that we keep getting linked to. As soon as he missed that chance, the opportunity would have been, okay, that's 2 big chances he's missed. So there might have been a film, and I forget. It's not his day. I need to switch it. Do you know what I mean? The issue is, Mark Gui's. I don't know what to expect from Mark Gui. I just don't think it's fair. He shouldn't be our number 2 option at the number 9 position, and then Nkunku's not a number 9. That's the other thing. And we're sitting there going, what are the other options? And like we said, we did say in the summer after the transfer window, we didn't get another striker to either play with Jackson or to switch with Jackson.
Yeah.
Then we're more likely, instead of a nailed on top 4, we're going to be in a top 4 race because we're going to have games like, we've already seen it.
On Jackson, first we got this tweet here. Nicholas Jackson has now registered no shots on target in back-to-back games for Chelsea in the Premier League. 0 out of 4 for Crystal Palace, 0 out of 1 for Ipswich. Chelsea are lacking in this department at the minute, and it's affecting the results. And, obviously, we have comments like this one to open up the show. Trash striker, been sucking off all season, all that fun stuff. Listen, I've been praising Jackson, deservedly so. However, what I will admit is that maybe I probably got a little carried away on thinking. I think with Jackson, I got carried away in terms of where I thought he was in his development. And I feel like to an extent I did, because I thought he is a developing striker, right? And I think it's something that these last few games have reminded us in terms of we still do need an option, which I never said we didn't. I did still want to bring in a striker. But in games like today, in games like recently, where you have a player that's not working, much like in that right center back position today, but things weren't working with the players we chose, between Tosin, between Disasi, what does Maresca do? I have another option. Let me bring on Acheampong and see how he does. And it worked out. We need something like that in the striker position, because as much as we see nowadays great performances from 18-year-olds like Eleni Euro, we see it from Wanieri today, so on and so forth. That doesn't work for every single young signing, and Guiu is no exception to it. I think there's a great player there. I think there's got a lot of potential there, but I don't think he's a solution. I don't think he's going to be the one that is going to be competing and taking minutes off of Jackson in the Premier League especially. I do think we need to bolster in that position, and I may have been a little misguided with the recent form of Jackson to think that he is probably more ahead in his development than I thought. And obviously there are parts of his games that he's improved. The touches, there's been a lot less of those touchy moments that I used to call out last season. And he's been a lot more clinical this season than last season. But in these last 5 games, we've seen the frustration now, you know? Obviously, you guys have your input on
Marshall.
This, yeah, let's bring it on Jackson.
Marshall, I don't think you trumped the gun. Because again, you and I, because we've spoken, even towards the back end of last season, we spoke backstage about Jackson and about his development and how by the end of this season, going into next season, he'll start to show people why, he'll start to show people that he's a world-class striker. I still stand by that. Nothing, just because he's gone through like a 2-game bad spell doesn't show anything to me. Because when you look at Isaac, who people say that he's world class, up until the last few games, he had been stinking this season.
Yeah.
Watkins, people will say that is amazing. Up until the last few games, he had been stinking this. So, like this recency bias thing people want to do about, about Jackson. Well, what happens if he scores next game then? All of a sudden, is he back? And like, let's not do this. I agree that I still want another guy to come in and stuff, but like, even Osimhen, who I rate, Osimhen will have a game or 2 or whatever where he's not scoring. So that doesn't mean he's trash. Or if he scores 5 in, whatever, sir. Or good strikers go through a bad patch.
Are you on a delay or something? I think you're on a delay.
I'm
slightly delayed. You're reacting to different things.
I'm not. Good strikers go through a bad patch. Like it's not that deep.
Yeah.
I think with the Osimhen, I'm on my fucking right now. I think with the Jackson thing, I agree with what Prime said. I don't think we jumped the gun. I think our issues in the striking department, it's like what Andy said earlier. I don't think our issues in the striking department are anything to do with Jackson. Like the problem becomes is like Prime said, like there are going to be games where Jackson has bad games or has bad finishing performances, like today. The issue comes, it's kind of twofold. Number one is, I don't think he is, but let's just say for argument's sake, in Hugh we have the Acheampong version, we have the striker version of Acheampong, where he's comfortable to step in and start games and have minutes in the Premier League. We don't know because we've seen him play all of 10 minutes in the fucking Premier League because Maresca does not want to play him. So if that's the case, we now need someone else because he doesn't trust him. So it's like you either need to play Hugh more so we can decide this guy can hang in the Prem, like we saw with Brozier, right? I was one of the people I said Brozier needs to play so we can see him play. I've said this with all players. I said it with Madueke, I said it with Mudryk, I said it with all these guys. I was like, I can't judge these guys and say whether they're good enough or not if you're giving them 20 minutes a game or 10 minutes a game. That's stupid. Like he needs to get at least 20, 30 minutes in a game for us to go, okay, he's ready, he's not ready. Because then if he's not ready, then yes, we need a striker. And it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Delap, Duran, Osimhen, Gyökeres, whoever. Because you're going to have games where Jackson can't score or has games like this. And so then you need him to come in and like another option, right? And that's the issue. And it comes back to the issue that me and I know Oliver and others have had when it comes to these sporting directors. And it's an issue that has been kind of masked and papered over because of what's happened this season in terms of the positives. But now, because of the issues we are facing, that problem is coming back to light. The wallpaper is starting to come off, and you're starting to see the cracks appear again. Because we didn't go and sign anyone in the summer, and we probably won't sign anyone in January unless it's Evan Ferguson or fucking Colin Moani on loan. And we'll have to wait until the summer to address this again, and then we'll be in the same position we were in last year.
But I think though that what they should take this, the owners and directors, is a sign of good fortune that this is happening around the time a transfer window's opening. Right? If this is happening late October, start of November, then there's pretty much nothing they can do about it. They have to wait it out. So to find themselves fortunate, Maresca, he's not wanted to play Gree, and I can understand why he wouldn't play Gree. Then he should be on there. He should be on every day saying, "I need a striker," whether it's a permanent, whether it's just a 6-month loan or something like that. It needs to happen. It needs to happen because bringing on like Nkuku today wouldn't have done anything at all. We would have the same thing he has at number 9. He can't play the number 9. We've said it before and heard it on other streams. You're more likely to probably get a better number 9 performance out of a João Felix than a Nkuku, at least. But at least though, there's an option there, and people are going to go, yeah, but how is Jackson going to feel? I really couldn't care less, really, how he feels about it. Here's a challenge for you. Maybe that's why, he knows he's going to play every game anyway. That's a dangerous thing. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's a dangerous thing where a player knows they're going to play every game. So no matter what.
I'll be real as well with that, with the Jackson how he feels thing. Like, there's two things. Number one, I think he'll relish it because it will be good competition. Like you said, if he reacts badly to it, that tells me what his mentality is like. And I've been in there and then. And I love Jackson. But if his mentality is, I've got someone coming in, I'm going to throw my toys out the pram, I'm binning him there and then because that's a shit attitude to have enough as well.
Yeah.
I think Jackson will fight because remember in the summer.
Oh, that's what I'm saying is.
Yeah, remember at the back end of last season when we sacked Poch, and then there were stuff about some players.
How he was upset.
And people were saying that Jackson's one of them. And look how Jackson started the season. So I think
bullshit.
Exactly. I think he'll relish the fight. He'll relish, especially if it's someone who he, like is on his level or better. I think he will relish that fight.
I mean,
I think he's
like we kind of
knowing and also for me, knowing that even if you get that player, even if it's a loan or something, even if he knows, at least he knows they're on the bench. So if he doesn't perform, he's getting hooked. Do you know what I mean? He's like getting, and if they then come on and score, they might start the next game. It's just about motivating it.
Kind of
like
felt
said,
that way
that's Maresca's job. That's Maresca's job to speak with your directors and go, I'm not asking, at the moment, it's January, I know, I'm not asking for a permit. I just need like a 6-month loan or something like that. I just need, something to the end of the season, then we can get the big boy striker in the summer. Do you know what I mean? That's what the conversations need to be.
I mean, I feel like we saw signs of this from Jackson early in the summer when there was the links with Osimhen. I feel like in the beginning he was playing like, I need to prove to them that they don't need another striker. And we saw the form he came in on. If he had the competition, I think what most of us on here would agree is that I think he would compete. And I think he would actually take it well. Hopefully that's the case. But I do agree with the overall consensus. We do need to look into a striker. I don't think it's going to be in January. I hope it is in January because... Again, we need other options to take us forward because the one thing I will say is concerning, and I don't think it's gonna last. We can't. I think there are two positions that are really important in this match, or not in this match, but just in general with the recent form. We need to shore up the defense. We need to bring in another center back or someone else. that can help us out. Wesley Fofana, we already know, is out for the rest of the season. Is Aaron El Somino going to be the solution? I have my doubts, considering this guy is being put into the trenches immediately coming from Boca Juniors. I don't think he's ready for the Premier League yet. But who knows? I could be wrong about it. But we know now there's a little bit more context as to why he's being brought in. I hope that's not what the directors think is the end-all, be-all in terms of a solution. Because there will be games in the future, and I think all of you agree, where our attack just doesn't get it done. And we need to win these games by not conceding 1-0, you know? But there's games like today where we need another option off the bench that can kind of grab the game by the scruff of the neck and just give us the chances and opportunities to score and put them away, and, you know, more clear-cut chances at that as well, that maybe we win it by offense instead of defense.
Is Aaron, does he not have work permit problems?
No,
I don't care.
Yeah.
that was all a myth. It was all debunked.
I don't care if he does or doesn't. Shouldn't plan anyway.
I don't think he's a solution, though. Yeah.
Nah, yeah, I agree with that he shouldn't be coming straight in.
Yeah.
By the way, Mark, just on the striker thing, I agree with you. It's not the only position, like you mentioned, that should be looked at in January. There's like 4 positions. Well, 3 positions we need to look at.
Yeah. It is annoying, though, because, like, after how much we spent, if we, I think I speak for most of us, at the end of last summer, or at the end of the summer, I think most of us were thinking, okay, we need an actual striker and a goalkeeper. Maybe some of us were saying like a center back, and maybe some of us were saying a center mid. But now we're in January, and it turns out there's more holes that we need to cover, and we need to spend more money, which is just frustrating considering we spent so much already.
Yeah, but that's also down to
Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the money.
Yeah, like, and also this
it's
happens,
obviously clearly coming out of my book.
Marshall, this is what happens
Marshall,
when you
down-
recruit. Like, this is what happens. This is what happens when you recruit like poorly in certain areas. I think it's a damning indictment on our centre backs. By the way, especially Tosin and Disasi, and maybe even Badiashile. Josh Acheampong is 18, played his first minutes in the Premier League at centre back today. Not even right back, played centre back, and he looked as good as all of them. It's a damning indictment.
Yeah, Acheampong had a good performance today. I'm not gonna lie.
It was great, and I can't. I know it's only one performance, and there's obviously needs to be like way more of a sample size of that one performance. Like, outside of like the fact that Gusto was terrible, and I probably would have put him at right back later in the game. In terms of its centre back, we didn't miss Tosin. That tells you all you need to know for me about the way we've recruited areas. No, we did.
Well, you know what I was thinking? Because people were saying about the subs.
Gusto was ours.
One of the subs I would have made was, and listen, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but I think Chris will fight for me on this one. I think one of the subs that we probably should have made earlier was to give Reece some minutes at right center back and then shift Acheampong over to where Malo Gusto was. Because I wasn't liking the performance Malo Gusto was giving me. So see what Acheampong does, shifting over to the right back role, and see.
A lot of people said that.
RCB.
A lot of people said that on Lewis's channel for the watch along, right? And much as I hear that shout because of how annoying Malo Gusto is,
yeah.
As Maresca does that, he brings Reece on. Say we still draw the game regardless, and he has another setback or he gets injured in the game. What are we saying now?
But the funny thing is, Prime. The funny thing is, Prime, in his conference, like I said on the thing, I think you heard it. It was like he did say that he was looking to give
minutes.
He was going to give him minutes, right? And remember, they only scored in the 82nd, so it was like, I don't know how many minutes was he looking to give him then?
And also,
yeah, but he assumed the game would be more comfortable.
Right, that's what I mean. But we got to the 80. We got to
even
these
before
80.
they scored. Even before they scored, we weren't looking that good in the second half. Like I thought, he probably thought it would be comfortable, and maybe two up, 3 up. And then you could bring Reece on last like 5 minutes to see out the game.
I mean,
I
people
get
saying
that,
Gusto
but
didn't have a. Much as people saying Gusto didn't have a good game, They didn't get down all right in the second half.
No.
You know, I mean, and also he came across and stopped like a couple of their attacks, and when they got to the edge of the area. So I think the Gusto's performance has been slightly. Was it the best? No, but it wasn't like it wasn't awful performance today.
I think Gusto was good compared to what he's been showing.
I don't think it was like whoa, he stank.
It's a good game.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's been overblown.
I was not impressed. Like, I think
I know, but again, I said good. I didn't say impressed. I said good.
Bro, I think I'll be honest. I think good stretching. I understand it was better than what we've seen, but that's because what we've seen is literally in hell. Like the bar is as low as it could ever be right now.
I know, but that's my point though.
So like,
I'm comparing it to his performances of this season. If you compare it to his performances of last season, then yeah, this is a bad game. But compared to this season, it's good.
But yeah, with the Reece thing, the only thing that I'll say with that is like, I hear it, like not bringing him on or like trying to rest him or give him the most time to heal up or whatever. But it's like, number one, why is he on the bench then? And number two, at some point you've just got to like play him. Like you can't keep him wrapped in cotton wool forever because like he's never going to play otherwise. Like you can't just
Scott,
like
Morecambe.
I said this when he got injured, right? Or not when he got injured. When was Reece first on the bench? Was it last game?
Last game.
Ipswich.
Yep.
I like. It won't surprise me that he's saving Reece for Man City, especially with the news about Marshall, we can't hear you. Especially with the news about Wesley Fofana like being out basically and needing surgery. It won't surprise me if he's saving Reece for Man City.
He needs to get minutes in his legs.
Yeah, he needs to get minutes before.
No, he will. He'll get minutes against Morecambe, but his first Prem start will be Man City.
You know, but you can't do that.
I think it'll be Wolves. I think it's Wolves at the weekend after.
Like this is the thing is like, you have to give him minutes at some point, right? And you can't just throw him in from the start because the same thing will happen. Like if you're not going to give him the few minutes, and even if I know obviously what Andrew said about he was going to give him minutes, but they scored. Like even if he'd given him 5 minutes, that's better than nothing. That means he plays in a match, touches grass, like not trying to joke, he touches grass for like the first time in months in terms of an actual pitch. He gets to feel what that's like again in a proper match. Whereas like if we're playing against Morecambe, like, I'm sorry, that's not suitable. It's what are they, League 2, I think.
Also,
now, like,
the way Reece plays, right? Reece talks about how when he plays football, he plays it like it's his last, which again is funny, but I won't make a joke. And how he always gives 100%.
That's all well and good. Does he need?
Yeah, that's all well and good. Always playing at 100% or always giving 100%. But when you've just come back from injury, you can't be playing like a madman. You've got to
that was the problem. Don't you think that was the problem, Prime? That we gave him too. I think we gave him too many minutes too quickly when he came back before this season. It was like I remember we started the 2 games he started. He started at left. Two of them started at left back.
And they were also high intensity games. You know why? Because after the surgery, we assumed that he would be fine again. All these assumptions about Reece that he's going to be fine. Yeah. No. He needs to earn our trust that he can play.
He needs to build up. He can't start.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He needs to build up.
Yeah, he can't start the games right away. Like apart from I see against Morecambe, I play him the first half and that's it. I play him like first half or give him half an hour at the end. I wouldn't, it's something like that, and it's like we all credit him for that Newcastle game where he cleared the 2 off the line. But I swear, if my memory serves me correct, we couldn't. Maresca used all of the 3 times he can make subs. You know what I mean? But he only used 4, so we couldn't actually make a 5th one. So Reece had to play. Yeah. Reece had to finish the 90, and he actually had Caicedo babysitting him for the last 10 minutes of the game because they thought he was gonna. Okay, but I mean, I think you said it right. I think we need. Listen, he's built like a tank. I think we need to start putting him at centre back.
Yeah,
I really do. I want to try him at centre back.
Yeah, I look at the way Acheampong
playing that right back.
I look at the way Acheampong played, and I'm like, hey, if that's Reese, just do it, man.
Or you can switch. Or you can have the affordability of switching them whenever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you play both of them. Oh, I'm gonna go here. You go there. Blah blah blah.
Like,
do you know what I mean?
like if it's like today where we're chasing the game, just tell him to switch and Reese go forward and bail us out. Yeah.
We're all crediting. He likes to pass out. Mariska likes his centre backs to pass out. Running back, and Colwell started doing it for most of the season. At the left hand side, if you've got Reese at right centre back, you've got someone of his passability on the right hand side. Then it's just another thing. But I can't. Someone needs to sit him down and go, you are not built for a right back, bro. You are hench. You know what I mean? You are literally what they would get. You are literally a super soldier of right backs. Do you know what I mean? That's what that scene in Captain America. That's Trent Alexander-Arnold before he goes into the machine, and then Reece James comes out afterwards. Okay, he's not built. He can't build for it. And everyone's going. Yeah, what if he slims down? Like, no, it's genetics, bro. It's genetics. He literally cannot change his body.
Dude, Trent is fucking Steve Rogers before he becomes Captain America. Is fantastic.
So Surfer's saying that Reese is basically Captain America, all right?
Yeah, he's Captain America, and you don't put Captain America in a right back. He's centre back, protecting. He's a shield. Anyway, I've got to I'll be back if you're still on.
Yeah.
I just want to say as well quickly with the Reese thing. Yeah. I think again, I come back to it like it. Again, I say again, it's a damning indictment of where we're at in terms of certain positions. That this is a guy that we were in. Bro, I'm having flashbacks. We're talking about needing him back from injury because we need him in the team. Bro, this is the same as it was at the Tuchel.
Yeah.
The only difference is because the guy in front of him is also kind of injury prone, but is having a bad season. That's another thing. But it's also because then, like, we need the guy who could play in his position to play at right back or play at centre back because the other centre backs we bought are dog shit. So it's like we're in a position now where, like, and this is what I go back to about the centre back thing. We need a centre back. So you don't have to have this problem with Reece and he can just recover because you've got Acheampong to play right back and you've got that centre-back that comes in to play centre-back. There you go, backline sorted.
And that's the problem with this season because Acheampong wouldn't sign a contract early on. They literally banned him from playing and the rest couldn't pick him. And that was the problem. And if they'd actually, everyone, not blame one single, but if everyone had actually got their heads up out of their asses and signed quickly, Acheampong will probably have even more minutes and we wouldn't be talking about making his debut today. It would have been probably like 5th or 6th game, league game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like that. And it's just it's one of those things. But we need to start giving Acheampong more minutes.
I'll be honest. He said about Andrew. He should be starting.
Big up Andrew.
He should be starting every game going forward. I don't care whether it's centre back or right back. Because Gusto, I understand the thing about today,
Scott
but like,
agrees with me.
Bro, like I don't care where he plays, right? But I've never really rated Tosin at his football club. I thought he had a good first couple games. He had a decent, a really good game against Everton. I think it was a decent game against Brentford. Outside of that, he's been supremely mid. Fofana's injured and shouldn't, like, when Fofana comes back, he should be that second back. He should be the backup right centre back when he comes back at best. I think we should sell him, but I'm saying if we keep him, he's right centre back. Badia Shield's the other side. Disasi should be on the first plane to Turin or should be told to just sit in catering. Like, that's not a fat joke, by the way, because he's large. I'm just saying he should be sitting in catering every freaking week.
Fat joke to me.
Like, I don't care where Acheampong plays. He needs to be playing every single week. Single week.
And based off of today's performance, to be honest, like, that's the one thing. And this is Maresca's thoughts on it. All the players for me were good today, but if I had to decide for one, Josh was the best player. He can be a top player for this club. We decided today because we saw he was ready. Today he showed how good he is. I mean, come on now. You didn't think it's because he was ready. You thought because you didn't have many other options. Let's be honest.
No, it's not because he thought they weren't ready. He wasn't ready. Like. Like, oh, what is in today? Is in you thought it was ready today? Oh, yeah, no, I just read the quote.
I think that he kind of just he was after the last match with the Sasi and Tosin. I think he was backed into a corner and was kind of forced, like, dude, I have to play you Acheampong. I can't rely on these guys. And listen, that's the one thing about Acheampong today, and I don't expect every performance to be like this, but there are some bright sparks or bright parts of today's performance. And Acheampong is one of them, right? I think he didn't do anything special, but what he did do was be reliable and be consistent. Yeah, he had one or two moments where there was a little bit of a mistake, but that's the good thing about his position is that he has two other center backs that can back him up, right? I think overall his performance was something that we needed. We needed that consistency and that reliable center back that we didn't have to have a nervous moment thinking like, oh my God, where's the error going to come from? I felt confident with him in the back there, and he kept it simple. He didn't try to do anything stupid. He didn't try to, Maradona the right back or the left back, in the game like we've seen Sassi do some stupid flicks and tricks and shit. He kept it simple and straight to the point, and that's what we need. We need defensive solidity back there. So I was impressed with it, and I agree with Scott. I agree with Prime. I think right now, until we see how reliable Reece James is, just keep starting him. And even when Reece James does start, until Malo Gusto gets up to snuff with the performances and he becomes more reliable and we see, shades of Malo Gusto that we saw last season, I think you keep going with Acheampong. He deserves a minute, and right now, you don't have Wesley Fofana. You don't know when Badiashile is going to come back. You're short on center backs, man. Just play the guy. There's no... I hate,
Also, Marshall, you talk about the him not doing the stuff that Sassy does. He did it successfully because he's not built like a fridge. Like, there was a moment in the second half where he picks the ball up in like the right centre back ish role, just because of where we were positioned. Mateta came to press him, just breezed past him, drove into midfield, played an attacking pass down the line. Same stuff that Sassy tries to do but can't do because he's built like a fridge and turns like a truck, like the big 18-wheeler one. But he's got the ability to do that. Like, we saw him do it against Astana as well.
This is very true. I do want to turn our focus over to, I think, a player that maybe gets overly defended. Understandably so, because of what he did for us last season. And I think we need to have a bit of an honest conversation about today's performance from Cole Palmer.
Yes, expose the fraud. Let's go.
Oh, I don't think he's a fraud. Like, calm down now.
Okay.
That's crazy, bro.
Marshall, we're all allowed to have our own opinions on this channel.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I just, my opinion is I don't think he's a fraud. Listen, I think the first half, and I think today's match was an improvement from the last one from Cole. I think we've seen, more in the first half, we saw Cole keep it simple, have more successful passes, have more successful threaded passes and chances created, which is why he had 5 chances created today in today's match. But the second half was where things kind of started to, and this has been a reoccurring theme now with the team, that early on in the season, second half, we come out guns blazing and we win the game in the second half. Now we're starting to lose control of the games in the second half, and our second half performances are becoming worse. But today, Cole Palmer, I'm not going to say he was horrendous. I don't think he was. But we got to call a spade, and we got to hold him accountable, because that error that he had in the second half is what costs us the game, in a sense. Obviously, we could have done things better. We could have been more clinical. We could have had a bigger cushion in terms of what the score was. And we did, talk on Jackson on that. But let's look over the play real quick just so everyone knows what we're talking about here. I have it right on my screen here. Sanchez actually has a successful pass to Palmer, and Palmer doesn't have too much pressure on him. However, it's in this moment, he does lose the ball, and I don't know what else he could have done. Maybe we could say he could have probably put more effort, but it's the 80th minute. He's probably tired. But it's really unfortunate. The Palmer losing the ball costs us the game here in a sense. Would you guys agree or disagree? Are we being a little harsh as well? And by we, I mean me. You guys hear me?
I'd put one more player into that potentially.
Who would you put that into that?
Oh, for fuck's sake, Oliver, you ruined it, bro.
I put Cole in that.
Cole does get taken out.
Cole just runs out of the back line. The back line for no reason.
Yeah.
If he tracks Mateta, he stops him at the back post. So then Acheampong then has to shift into the centre to cover the gap, and then Gusto's already too far wide. It's just a mess. Cole shouldn't have rushed out there. So I put like 90% of it on Palmer, but I can't ignore Cole there. And I know this fan base will because he's Cobham and whatever, but I can't ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why I wouldn't blame Cole there, because I understand what you're saying, Oliver, but the only reason I wouldn't is the same reason I didn't blame Caicedo for the second Fulham goal. Because the reason he has to step out there is because the guy on the ball, if you go back to it, I don't know who it is on the ball.
I think
when he picks it up there, Caicedo is ahead of him. So if no one closes him down, he can just run a goal. So I understand him stepping up to try and close that space. Obviously, he doesn't get there. But I think he has to do that because Caicedo's out of position because no one's expecting Palmer to lose the ball. So that's the only reason I don't really blame anyone else. You could make the same argument for like Gusto as well being out of position for Eze. But I don't put that on Gusto because everyone has taken a step up and is in positions they would be when we're on the ball to be attacking, and no one's expecting us to lose the ball that quickly and to have it to transition so quickly. So that's for me. I just blame Palmer on this. But just quickly on him, I think he had a very good game today. Even in the second half, I actually thought he was good. It just sucks that there's like 2 moments in the game that if they're different, we win this game comfortably. And obviously you've got the other chances like with Jackson and whatnot, but he has that chance in the first half that he misses where he's basically on the penalty spot and he misses the ball from Neto's cross, and he has this. And it's like if those 2 moments are different, if he scores the second one and doesn't lose the ball here, we win 2-0 and it's a different game. And it's sometimes the case in this league. It's very fine margins. But that's the Premier League, and you hope that these young players that we have in the team, the whole team basically learn from it. But yeah, it's one of those moments that's ended up costing us 2 points.
But Scott, he hasn't been learning from it. He's been doing this shit for 5 games where when we're in the 80th or 70th minute, he loses the ball. He makes stupid decisions.
I agree, but I think the reason he hasn't learned is because I think he's been in positions. I think this is the first time this has happened for him where it's been in a position where it's cost us a goal, if that makes sense. Like normally when he does it, he does do it
quickly. Yes, I agree.
Up the pitch, so it's less of a problem, or the ramifications are not as bad because he loses.
Just breaks down an attack, really.
Yeah,
I agree. But I'm saying but it's been the same mistake. It's just this one's harsher because we're losing it in our own half in transition, right? And then we get fucked over. But before then, he's been doing this every fucking game. It's like the 75th minute when Maresca wants to make subs. He's like, oh, time to make stupid decisions now. Not keep the ball. Make stupid decisions with their passes, with over-dribbling, with running into players. And he didn't do that this game, but he made a stupid decision again. Because he's been doing this since our losing streak. You know that, guys. When we need to get a goal for a win, he's making stupid choices and losing the ball easily. When we're drawing, we're trying to get a goal, he's making stupid choices. But usually it's in the other half, in the final third of theirs. He hasn't been learning. He still thinks he needs to do everything. And finishing, scoring wise, you could say him and Jackson do. But creating wise, I don't think so. Neto created chances. Sancho created a chance for Palmer again today. So I don't understand that part.
Now, for me, the most frustrating thing about this play is like I would again, naturally, my first instinct would be look to the manager again and be like, why does he have to play 90 every single game? But then I look to the Ipswich game. Am I relying on João Felix to do better in that situation? Not consistently. Definitely not. João Felix was losing the ball against Ipswich.
Exactly.
And Kunku, is there really even a solution here? Like,
not necessarily. I do think with the Felix thing, I saw Kavkas Alexis tweet this, and I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. But this is why I think it's good to speak on these things and to put some. If this was Felix that did this, we would cook him. Excuse me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And rightly so. But I think that's the thing, and I think the issue with the Felix thing is I agree he probably may do something like this potentially. We don't know ultimately at the end of the day, but Maresca has to use his subs better ultimately in the day, or something has to be done. I said this on Lewis's channel as well on Felix, where if you don't trust these players, like ultimately, if you don't think you can play in Kunku for more than 10 minutes, or you can't play Felix, we didn't want Felix, they should not be at this football club, because the plan, theoretically speaking, should be that we're building something here with Maresca. I mean, that you've offered him a 5-year contract. That seems like it's the plan. So if that's the case, you need to build with players that he trusts, or you need to say to him, you need to start trusting these players. Something needs to happen in terms of a trust level, because you can't be having 2 subs a game and the first one is the 80th minute. That can't happen.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing, right? Like, I am putting this on Palmer for the most part. Obviously, there are a few things towards the goal and build-up that could have been better positioning-wise. You got Colwell coming out. Maybe Malo Gusto could have been positioning himself better, but again, he was getting ready to be in an attacking position and not, turn over and transition back to defensive shape. But something to keep in mind, and you touched on this, Scott, is that if this is João Felix, right, at this point in the game, I don't think João Felix makes the mistake. Why? Because he has fresh legs. And this is in the 81st minute. We play Palmer game in, game out. He was one of the few, he is one of the players, just like Caicedo and Enzo, that plays just about every single game. And I find it hard to believe that, at the 81st minute, Palmer isn't going to be a little leggy. Palmer's touch isn't going to be as good as he is in the beginning of the match, right? Maybe that's what fails him here, is the fatigue. He's a little tired. The touch gets away from him. And maybe that doesn't happen to Felix, because I'll admit here that I think Felix is a better dribbler than Palmer.
I disagree with that. The thing that I would say about this, I don't think this is a tiredness thing with Palmer necessarily.
Yes,
you can see here, I'm actually quite glad you ended up accidentally freezing it here. He's just not looking up. Like, if he looks up in this situation, he can tell he has not scanned.
Think mental fatigue also plays a factor?
Well, potentially, but the reason I don't want to say as well, just on the Felix thing, I don't want to say that he would or wouldn't, is because we don't know. Because before this game, none of us before this game would have expected Palmer to be doing this in this situation. He's probably the one player in this team that no one would have expected to be doing this in this situation. Like, I would expect Enzo to maybe do this if it's late on in a game. Enzo to maybe do this. We've seen Caicedo do this. We saw Caicedo do this in this game. This sort of similar thing. It didn't lead to anything, but Palmer's the one player I don't think any of us really expected him to do this in this moment, at this time, in that position in this game. So I don't know whether Felix does this, because I don't know if he is in the same position in the game. Like, if he's playing the same position, I don't know if he's in the same position Palmer was in. I don't know if he's showing for the book. Like, there's so many things you can't know.
Because Marshall, I've seen him in some games lose the ball in the same position, but also retain it in some position. So I can't be for sure that if Felix comes on, he's not going to make the same mistake Palmer would, and not make it, because he's done both when he's been subbed on. That's the thing.
Yeah. But it is one of those things that, like, I wanna start saving this guy's legs.
I agree.
I do think that, and I agree with what you guys are saying, right? We have options on the bench. Whether you trust them or not, like, Maresca, I think you need to swallow that pill and start to give these guys minutes, show them that, like, you know what, I do trust you. Maybe that brings up their morale in terms of, like, okay, the manager's putting some trust in me. Let me show them that I can get it done. and maybe we see a bit of a lift up in their performances. And I do think we need to start thinking about the long haul now. We're this is the first game in the second half of the season. We're getting into the part of the season where there's going to be a bunch of games, whether it be Champions League matches for other players. Conference League is going to come back for us. We have FA Cup matches as well. Some teams still in the Carabao Cup. You know, other teams are going to be exhausted. They're going to rotate heavily. I think we need to take into consideration rotating Palmer as well a little bit. And I don't mean rotating as much as like, you know, I think Felix needs to start the next game. More so, we need to take him off around 65, 70 minutes just to rest him a bit, man.
I don't think
not even just that, Marshall. Like we can also rotate his position. We bought him as a right winger.
Mm-hmm.
Like are we not able to try him as a right winger anymore?
Big up United Spurs of America. My bad, people. Sorry. Big up United Spurs of America for the raid. Thank you so much. Appreciate the raid. Big up to everyone coming from the United Spurs of America raid. If you haven't done so already, smash up the like button. It helps out tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so as well. Big up to Jacob. Had a fun doing some pro clubs with him yesterday. So go check out that content if you haven't done so already. But yeah, welcome to Casually FC. If you're new here, subscribe and check us out here. But I'm sorry, Oliver, you were saying Palmer also can play in the right wing.
Yeah, so it's not even just about like giving him rest or saving his legs. It's about, if you want to make that in-game change, maybe bring a Felix on and take a Neto off, and Palmer goes on the right-hand side, like just as an option, because we certainly do that with João Felix is seen as number 10, but when we play him on the left, we give him an overlapping fullback. Why don't we do the same thing with Palmer? Maybe we haven't tried that this season. Maybe it could work. Especially in the games where he's getting shut out in the middle.
I hear that. I don't think we're doing that anymore. Jimmy mentioned this on Lewis's stream earlier. I didn't really consider it until now. We're our busiest period of the season. Like the Christmas period is the busiest part of the season. We're through that. Like we're literally through that. And he didn't rotate at all in terms of with like Palmer and anything. Like he barely did it. He's not going to do it now.
No, that's fair.
When we're playing basically once a week, apart from when we play in the FA Cup and when we start playing Conference League, but Palmer's not even registered for that technically yet, and we don't know if he's going to be registered for the next stage. So that I think that ship has sailed. I don't think that's going to happen at all at any point. But yeah, it's just got to be then, if that's not going to happen, you start trusting some of these other guys. Your Hughes, your Acheampong, as I said, needs to stay in the team. We need to get a midfielder in. I don't care where. I don't think we recall either of those guys. I think if we were going to, that would have been done on the 1st of January. There's no reason to wait, like, for either of them, especially Leslie. Like, if that was going to be something you were going to do, there was no reason to wait. You should have done it on the 1st of January, so I don't think we get back either of those guys. So we might be in for a long season in terms of in the midfield, because you can see it with those two, like, especially Caicedo later on in the game today. You could see he's exhausted. Like, he's making stupid mistakes that he hasn't made the whole season in terms of on the ball. Like, he's making stupid mistakes in possession.
Here's a tweet from the press conference on the much needed rest. After September, it is the first time we have an entire week now. We have a chance to work this week and prepare for the FA Cup game, and then again for the Premier League. So, I mean, Maresca's not wrong. We have had international breaks in between, but they're not really breaks for the players. But it's been a relentless schedule since September. Regardless, I don't think that's an excuse. You still have Gravenberch that's putting on performances after performances. We still have other players from other teams, doing well. So at the end of the day, there needs to be a rotation. There needs to be a solution. Unfortunately, I don't think Santos or Leslie are coming in January. We will see in due time. But we do, like, I would love to see a Santos, to come in 60 minutes, 65 minutes, 70 minutes for a Caicedo or for an Enzo. Lavia also not reliable at the moment, still out with injury. Another player that I think would be really useful in these last 3 or 4 performances, that maybe could have helped us out tremendously in terms of giving us another option off the bench to shore up these games and keep the defensive solidity. It's really unfortunate, and it does go to the recruitment, right? Like what Scott was saying, what you guys have been saying. I don't know if it's I don't know if the plan is to shore up those positions or find backup in the future, and we're just waiting, or if there's been mistakes in terms of, oh, we didn't think about this, or we didn't have the foresight to think that, oh, we might need more depth in this department just to give these guys some minutes. I find it really strange to look at the transfers of KDH and think that's the solution for that position. I would find it really weird to think it's probably okay to loan out Leslie, considering what you have. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say because hindsight's 2020. I'm hesitant to be too critical because personally, I didn't expect Lavia to be this injury prone. I thought it was maybe like a one and done thing because of Pochettino, and Pochettino gave him a long-term injury. I didn't think Lavia would be out for this long, and that does put quite a damper into the plans. But again, we don't have many sixes that can come in and like.
But this is the issue. This is ultimately like, this is one of the fundamental issues that this ownership group and these sporting directors have, right? Because there's a lot of what you said that like kind of makes sense in terms of like KDH was a waste of time, right? Even if he's back, where's he playing?
Yeah, again, like that.
He's playing the Enzo.
It doesn't make sense outside of PSR.
No, but even if he's in the squad and he comes in and plays, he's playing the Enzo role. So that means one of Enzo or Caicedo needs to play DM. It's probably going to be Caicedo. So the Caicedo thing is he still plays every game. The issue, and this is where they need to pull their heads out their asses and stop with this nonsense. What we could do with right now to cover for Caicedo or to cover for Lavia when he's not fit is someone who's like, 30, 31, is happy to kind of just be here and soak up, I don't know, 600 to 800 minutes. You know, kind of what Loftus-Cheek was. Is happy to just be here, happy to soak up minutes, isn't on that big a contract, and because he's like 30, 31, it's like, cool, as long as like I'm kind of just happy to be here, I'm like, as long as I can have minutes here and there. But they won't do that. They will not pull their heads out their arse and stop with this fucking youth thing.
Yeah, because now that I think about it too, I guess part of that depth, right? Part of that midfield depth was Vega. Vega is still young.
He isn't trusted.
But you would have hoped so.
Trusted. Yeah, and we have seen Vega play in the Premier League this season in that midfield role. It hasn't been wonderful, but if you go back to those matches, right? First half for Vega was always very, very shaky and horrible. But then the second half, he cleans up, he keeps his composure, and he has a much more solid performance. And that comes with consistency, that comes with playtime, that comes with giving him minutes to build up that confidence in the midfield and adapt to the style that is the Premier League. You're not giving him that. And you're now minimizing your depth in terms of a player you can have in that position to give Caicedo some minutes on the bench to rest his legs and so on and so forth. But again, and I agree with Scott, is he really like the perfect option? Like, are we really expecting this much from, how old is he, 20, 19?
He's like 21, I think he's 21. But like, I'm thinking of like what we've done in the past, right? I understand it's a different ownership and whatever, but like, I look at what Giroud did for us, what the idea of Giroud was. I think he obviously played more minutes than was planned, but he came in to be the backup piece. Like, no one ever really considered he was going to be our starting number one, but he was always the backup depth piece to like soak up minutes when the guys, whether it was Abraham or whatever ahead of him, weren't really doing their job, or whether it was Havertz or whatever, or when you needed a bit of a different option in midfield, up front, or you were playing a team that's like, you can give him minutes because you don't need to play Havertz or Abraham here or whatever, right? That's the same thing. Like, that's like, for example, let's say we're not going to get him because he's playing in Saudi. It's just the first person that come to mind. Say we have someone like a Brozovic on the bench. Cool, there you go. 60 minutes, you can take Caicedo off. You've got a Brozovic to bring on for 30 minutes, so you give Caicedo a rest. Or you can start Brozovic against an Ipswich or whatever, right? Or like Morecambe. But to be fair, Caicedo probably will. But you get my point. It's like, you have someone to soak those minutes up. Right now, even if Lavia could come in, fine. he's injury prone. Cool. There's no one behind him. It's Cassidy, who we're looking to loan out and isn't a 6 anyway.
Yeah.
The squad building from these sporting directors has been piss poor. Has been shit. They have a knack for finding talent, young talent. They have a whatever the opposite of a knack is for putting together a squad, a coherent squad. It's piss poor.
Sure. I think what it is for me is, I think the planning is well intentioned and the talent is there, but I feel like they're missing really obvious, deficiencies that are like clear. Like, I think all of us could agree you should have gotten another center back in the summer. Someone that can come in, experience. I don't know. Was Tosin the right answer? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. It was meant to be Tosin, but whether you think he's good enough,
Yeah, but the Tosin thing is like the problem I had with the Tosin transfer is, as we're seeing now, he is now the starter at centre back because Fofana's injured, and it was like even if he wasn't going to be the starter and he was going to be the next one down, that's still not good enough. Like, you're talking about a guy who was probably the second best centre back at Fulham.
Yeah.
So it's like that, and that's what we're now dealing with. It's like, cool, we've now got the second best centre back for Fulham. He's now our starter. And realistically, he should have the position in the squad of being like the last one on the totem pole.
Yeah.
But this is why I'm so insistent about not relying on injury-prone players. Because we have this problem in 3 positions: midfield, centre-back, and right-back.
Exactly. Now, because
Brian.
we've had a squad rebuild. And yet, our best players, defensively, are injury-prone. Lavia, best DM. Reece James, best right-back. Fofana, best centre-back, arguably. Injury-prone. So what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
We have no goalkeeper.
We're not looking at right-backs. Good. We're looking at centre-backs, and it's the targets we're looking at are terrible. Or they're just the same level, which it's not even like we're trying to like elevate it, like in the centre back area. It's just like keep the status quo, just plateau.
Do you think?
And then we're not even looking at midfielders.
I mean, obviously, I look at Lenny Euro at United, and despite United's form, the kid's actually been playing pretty decent. Do you reckon, Scott, there's some targets out there that do fit this criteria that we have about young, ambitious targets that maybe could come into this club now and help at least raise the floor? Actually raise the floor and the ceiling, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, there are, but they're not going to fix what the ultimate problem in our backline is. Like, our issue from the backline sense, for the most part, is not a talent issue. It's never been a talent issue, really. Like, we've got like, the way that Fofana and Colwell were spoken about before this season, or just in general, right, before even for Chelsea, and even Fofana when he came to Chelsea the first season, is like 2 of the best young centre-backs in the world. Like, in the world. So the talent or the potential's there. The issue comes, and you see it in this game, and you see it in the Ipswich game, and you see it in the Fulham game, and you see it in the Palace game when we played them at home, is once we get punched in the mouth, it's like boxing, right? I gave this analogy earlier, but it's like boxing. It's like you're like we're kind of throwing punches against someone. We're on the front foot, and in a kind of moment of defense, they give you a quick jab, and you get punched in the face. We're Liverpool. Cool, we take that on the chin. We compose ourselves and we go again, and then they do what they do and they win, whether it's Salah or whoever. If it's us, bro, all hell breaks loose. We're thinking about what we had for dinner. We're thinking, where am I? We're thinking about what I'm doing tonight. Like, everything's gone. Our whole head just goes. And so that's the issue. Is like there's no one to calm everyone down, because the only one trying to do that today was Enzo, and he nearly got sent off. And I wouldn't have been surprised if he had done after the second challenge. Caicedo's meant to be doing that.
Yeah,
he's so tired. He's making stupid mistakes. I don't know who's meant to be doing that in defense. I couldn't tell you, and we're not getting it from the bozo in goal. So there's no one that like when shit hits the fan, there's no one who can calm everyone down, who can kind of do what people hated him, do what Jorginho did for us, do what Silva did for us. Bro, we don't even have a Gary Cahill in this frigging club from a leadership perspective. Like, there's no one, and that's the issue. And you're not going to find that at 19, 20 years old. You're just not. You might find a couple of the intangibles that can be molded into that, right? But they need to be molded by the players around them or by the manager. We don't have an experienced manager, and we have no experienced players apart from one bozo and one mid.
No, it's exactly that. And like,
we're not going to fix the problem. Okay, like, you can go and sign Araujo. Like, Araujo is supremely talented. Like, everything I've heard. Like, he's not the leader in that back line for Benfica. I can tell you right now, he's not the leader right now. I haven't seen a game. I know for a fact he's not the leader because he shouldn't have to be at 19. Anselmino has been doing very well at Boca Juniors. I can tell you right now that he's not the leader in that Boca Juniors team.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is as well, you could even look at something like there are some extreme examples of like the contrary, or not even the contrary, because like I think of like obviously like Matthias de Ligt when he was captain in the Ajax team, he was playing next to Daley Blind, so even he had a bit of the burden being shouldered, not just himself. Someone else was holding his hand, not in a bad way, but you know, he's a 19-year-old centre back, and he had someone helping him there. We don't have any of that.
It's hard for me to speak on this situation because I feel
Can I
like.
ask a question? Sorry.
Go ahead, Prime.
Scots, because you should know. I'm assuming you would know. How old is Van de Ven?
23, 22 off the top of my head. Let me check. 23.
And 23. And how old is Vicario?
He'll turn 24 this year. I can't spell his fucking name. I'm going to have to go on Wikipedia. Give me a second.
Vicario, V-I...
No, I can't spell his first name. I was going to type it into Google. I can't spell his first name. He's 28.
28. Oh, Vicario's 28. Oh, fuck.
Yes.
Old. Okay.
Yeah, he played in Italy. Like, he played in Italy for a lot. He played in Italy for a long time. He was playing at the lower league.
Well, regardless, we're talking about needing a centre back. How is it Spurs were able to find Van de Ven? Because he fits within our age profile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did they get Van de Ven and we didn't?
It's because
we already bought Paddy Shield by then, I think.
And it's also look at the ages we're looking at. We're not looking at. He's 23. He would have been 22. I think when we're not looking at 22-year-olds. We're looking at 19 to 21-year-olds.
Yeah, and that's my point, bro. Where Varna said, "Where are Spurs in the table?" Suck your mom. Anyways, that's my point. Like,
yeah, but they're there for different reasons. They're there for different reasons.
Yeah, but instead of looking at the kid who is 17, 18, why don't we look at someone who is like ready to step in? Because Van de Ven, if we had bought him last summer, like, he's comfortably right in our team, bro. He's our best centre back.
Mm-hmm. But also, the Van de Ven thing is funny, right? Because, like, when they bought him for 50 million, I looked at that and went, that's interesting, because I hadn't really watched him at Wolfsburg. That's a bit weird, but like, he could step into that team and he doesn't have to be immediately the best centre back. He's been the best centre back, but he doesn't have to be because he's playing next to Romero. But like, Romero's kind of fallen off a cliff after last season. I thought he was really good last season, but that's a guy who's their vice captain. I think he's vice or one of the vice captains of Argentina. He's been to World Cups. He's a leader on the pitch. So he's next to a leader. He's next to someone who knows how to lead.
Shit.
So, like, even in that situation, if he steps into our back line, he immediately has to become the leader because he's older centre back by default, and he immediately has all the pressure on him because of what we paid for him, and because of what else is going on around him. So it's like, it just comes back to it again. Like the problems in the team are systemic and have been there for a while, and instead of addressing them, we're doubling down. And this is cool and all, and I think it will be enough to get us top 4. But I'm praying to God that once we get top 4 and we have Champions League, their focus shifts, because I can't be dealing with this every frigging year of just buying 20-year-old players. that we're going to try and flip.
They're surely going to have to
think-
see it. I mean,
I think
struggling
so.
to. Sorry, go on, Prime.
Because the point of signing these young players was to develop into like challenging and grow with the squad. However, we fast tracked that now because this season we are in a title challenge. So next year you now have to be in it cemented. We have to be ready next year to actually challenge.
I hear that point. I hear that, but there's one problem with that.
Yeah.
That doesn't work in club football. The only time you can't develop. I understand your point and I agree. Where they've got it wrong, you can't develop like 11 players at once. You can't. Like and expect to do what we're doing. I mean, like obviously you can develop 11 players at once, but like prepare for mid-table mediocrity, my friend. Because that's what you can't, unless you're getting the best of the best in every position, which we're not. Like that's just what you're going to get. It's outside of international, where it's a lot easier because you play a lot less, and it's just a lot different. You can't develop 11 players at once in club football.
No.
Like all at once. You can develop like
really foolish. Yeah.
Like you can go like 3 or 4 at once. Like for example, say we had, I don't know, I'm not even gonna include like Enzo and Caicedo because they're kind of experienced. Let's say we had, I don't know, trying to think of young players off the top of it. We had like maybe Palmer, we have Jackson, we have.
What if it was like Santos
let's just say
Leslie, you know, and we never got Enzo and Caicedo. How about that?
Yeah, let's say okay, we got Santos and Leslie. I'm trying to think of starters, right? But let's say we got Gusto as the starter because Reece is injured, and let's say we have Colwell. You can have those guys. If you've then got Kukurea at left back's fine. You've got a goalkeeper in goal that's not Sanchez and is like 26, 27. You've got a centre back next to Colwell that's like a Silva type or like, of that 26, 27 mould. You've then got the midfield can be the same, but then you've got attackers where it's like they can take the burden, so it's not on Jackson and Palmer all the time. Like, you can do that, and the other guys will develop around them. Like, because then they know what they've got to aspire to, and they know what they've got to like kind of replicate. But the fact of the matter is that's not what's happening. You've got 2 centre backs and a right back and 2 midfielders and a number 10 and a striker, all having to develop at the same time. And depending on if they play and when they play, maybe a left back if Vega plays, maybe another midfielder if Lavia plays, maybe another winger if Madueke plays, maybe another goalkeeper if Jorgensen plays.
So, building off of what you said, right? And maybe you guys disagree, but I feel like, and I think I said this last season, I feel like we could have done with one more season of Thiago Silva in his team. And obviously not to be a starter. It was more so to be someone that is in the locker room, that plays from time to time. I think the way Mauricio Pochettino used them was ridiculous. He was reliant on him, and I don't want to be reliant on Thiago Silva. But what I do want from Thiago Silva is just that leadership ability, that, experience. I'm sorry, like Tosin may be an experienced player, but Thiago Silva's experience is clear of Tosin's experience. Like, there's a clear difference in terms of caliber. And that also reminded me that there was a big list of free agents in the summer that I saw, and I have the list here. So these are players that are going to be free agents in the summer that if Chelsea want to take opportunistic signings, there's a list of them here. Obviously, I sorted it by age. But there are some names on this list.
Go back up quickly, Marshall. Everything I've just said about the sporting directors and the owners, I'd never ever criticize them again if they showed they'll never do this. And I don't even know if he would do this in terms of the player. I would rate them to their nth level if they went to Virgil van Dijk and said, what do you want? Like, we will give you whatever you want. Name your price.
He's not leaving Liverpool, dude.
I don't think he is either, but I'm just saying I'd rate that so highly if they just went,
but not even
name
that,
your price.
like, I mean, okay. Listen, you might not like this, but what do you think of potentially saying we go for a Fabian Schär on a free?
No.
Do you know what? I don't even hate it.
No.
But that's the level of where we're dealing with our centre backs. I don't even hate it. These centre backs stink.
CP, it depends if you want them to start, though. I think you got to consider that.
No, they literally have Jonathan Tah on a free who's 28.
Oh yeah, he's right here. He's right here. Yeah.
Is there a way? Is there, Marshall? Is there a way you can look by position, if that makes defense.
Yeah.
So like just look at one position.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
you go
you go.
position. You go defenders.
Yeah, Jonathan Todd's on this list. I just
Yeah,
don't know
just
if I
mentally
can-
filter out any fullbacks that come up in here, by the way.
For me, right?
Yeah, see, to the 28,
Talk
I
by
like what Jonathan Todd.
Oh, Jonathan Tottenham. Yeah, for
Jonathan
me,
That works.
Tariq
For
Mitch
me,
is
I
on this
would-
list.
Jesus.
I would
Left
take
backer.
Yeah.
For me, I heard what Scott said, but in that same breath, I would also rate it if they went to Barcelona and tried to entice one of Christensen, Araujo, or maybe even Koundé. Because Barca
I'd-
have
I'd
money
speak-
problems. Barca can't register players. Go ask one of them, like, what do you want? Come to Chelsea. Christensen,
Throw
come
in-
back to Chelsea.
Throw in there as well. Martinez as well. I'd take him as well. He's been a captain at Athletic Bilbao, so I'd take him.
Which
But
Martinez?
just, Inigo.
Is that the
Version
Portuguese
on
guy?
there.
No, he's Spanish. He came from Athletic Bilbao like a couple of years ago.
Oh, I'm thinking of Ignacio.
And Verizon
Never
another
mind.
one, by the way. The Verizon another one I'd take on a free.
This one. From
Yeah.
Inter.
Yeah, again, not to be. I'm not asking outside of Tar and like obviously Van Dijk, but he wouldn't come here. I'm not asking for any of these guys to be like starters necessarily, right? Like you wouldn't really want them to be starters, but they're floor raisers. Like they would, or theoretically, they're floor raisers, and they'd give you the leadership in the dressing room and stuff like that you can rely on. Oh, he's on a free, Inigo Martinez. He's 33.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's old.
But it like this is what we're saying. It pisses me off, man, because then we're gonna go for like these 20-year-olds that aren't gonna like they're just not gonna do anything. Hummels is one someone mentioned, I think on a different stream, getting him on loan, so I don't know if he's playing much at the moment for Roma.
It's getting up there.
But it's just like these are the type of signings I want, and it's the same when I mentioned about midfield of like you get in I don't know, a De Vrij version. You get in like a De Vrij version of a midfielder to just soak minutes up, so you don't have to rely on having Vega as your backup midfielder.
That's
Okay,
what
it's tricky.
Jorginho. That's what Jorginho should have still been at Chelsea.
Yeah, like facts. The season he like the January he left, he shouldn't have left that window. He should have been here last season.
And Scott, that's what I wanted Silva to be. I know Silva like was falling off a cliff playing week in week out, but for me, I would have kept him for the squad for his experience, and also I would rather have Silva playing backup minutes than Disasi or Dawson.
That's
like-
what I'm getting at.
On a free transfer here, sorry, Norgard, like captain of Brentford. I think he's a captain or vice captain of Denmark. Like that's someone who's played in the Prem. He knows how to play in the Prem. He doesn't have to play every week. He has to play like 600 minutes.
And I think he would, considering where he's coming from Brentford, I think he'd be comfortable coming off the bench, getting minutes like that. Like, I don't think he'd be opposed to that, considering, I know a lot of these players that are coming in, they're not going to start. And I think a lot of them should know that. Kimmich is another one I'd give a shout to, but I doubt he doesn't re-sign for Bayern or another club isn't speaking in his ear. There's some options here that are on a free that I think if
Marshall, you know how Scott had VVD, Verratti. If they signed Verratti on a free from Qatar, oh my fucking god!
I
would
just
go
don't know
for
because
shit.
of the wages, right?
No,
That's
but
the
like,
one thing that, yeah.
but this is why I say of like we talk about like the wage structure and like overpaying certain players and not wanting to pay this and not wanting to pay that. And for some players, I understand it, right? But then there's sometimes where you just need to be like, okay, what do you want? Just ask them, what do they want? If he says 350k, then no, you obviously go away, right?
Yeah.
But if he goes, oh, I want 200 grand a week,
That's
okay. Is there any
to an
wiggle
extent.
room we can do?
Yeah.
Like,
Not
you have
much.
to ask the question.
God damn, Moises is 39 years old. He's about to be 40,
Yeah, I know.
bro.
He's played 500 games for Real Madrid or something. I saw 500 something games.
Insane.
But yeah, like, Dimina, I know these suggestions will never happen. That's what pisses me off. It's like these suggestions should happen, or at least some of these should be
Definitely not
considered.
this
Kenchik striker, Kenchik
Definitely not this
forward.
guy.
He was terrible for Austin. But it's like these are the type of things we should be doing. but we won't because they're just going to sign some 21-year-old, and then I've got to wait and hope that he's good enough and hope that he has the intangibles to be a leader in like 3 years' time.
Sonny, no.
Jonathan David is one that
Sonny
like
Diallo has an extension. No. Adama.
obviously like
This is depressing, though, I can't lie.
we're just looking at options that you could bring in that can
Yo,
bolster
Scott,
and
yo,
bring
Scott,
experience
yo,
on a free.
Scott.
What were you gonna say?
Paulo
Salah?
Dybala on a free.
No, that's not.
That's
He's just got the injury prone thing, and I don't know if like where would he play though, because he wouldn't play up front.
No. Nkunku can
Ten.
fuck off. Nkunku can fuck off. Felix can fuck off.
Oh, well, you're thinking backup 10. You know, I don't hate it. Like backup 10, yeah. Like I don't hate that. But again, it just won't happen, man. Like
Again, it's back to that thing. I'm not relying on injury-prone players, even as backups.
bro, there's so many MLS
I
players.
get you.
Yeah, there's a lot of MLS players. I mean, but there's
Muller?
options. That's the point, right? There's options there that you can bring
Yo,
in.
Muller is second striker.
No, I wouldn't get Muller.
Nah.
Just because like he's almost too far
He's too
gone.
old now.
Like he's too far.
Yeah,
I guess yeah,
it's like there's options out there in terms of like who you could bring in that can bring experience. It's an opportunistic signing, which we did with Tosin. Tosin comes into this club not because we rated him, but because he was an opportunistic signing. He was on a free, he has experience, he's a center back, yada yada yada. You can do the same thing for these other positions, especially when we're looking at like the defensive
Marshall.
positions.
It showed Chris Wood on a free. Hold up. It showed up Chris Wood on a free.
Fuck off.
Yo, on a free. Scott on a free.
I
On a
don't rate
free.
Chris Wood
On a
enough, I'm
free,
sorry.
bro.
It's-
On a free.
Nah, I'm
What
okay.
a free. Do you know what? Actually, speaking about Chris Wood, I tell you who is available on loan in January, and I would take again not as a first option, but as like if we're not going to go for anyone or we only want to do a loan, I'd take Taiwo Awoniyi.
Yeah, I've been hearing about him. Yeah.
He's apparently allowed to leave on loan or like leave for the right offer. So like,
Sorry.
if there's potential there, I would take
I
Awoniyi
haven't heard about him in ages.
Prime.
on loan.
Yeah,
By the way,
Prime.
I'm not taking permanently. I'm talking on loan. Awoniyi.
You want who?
Awoniyi.
No.
On loan, I would take it. But again, as I said, like there are other players I want before him. But like,
I
if
thought that Chris Wood is better than him. Last year,
Prime,
no
I'll
one
put it
wanted to
this
listen
way.
to me.
Prime, I'll put
Please
it to you this way. Okay, Prime, I'll put it to you this way. If we're going for a striker on loan, they're not doing a permanent thing, and all they're saying is, I want like we're just going to go and get a guy on loan. I'd rather Awoniyi than Ferguson.
Okay. That's cool. Bring Awoniyi in on loan. Hey, you think Chelsea fans are
great,
racist
but, like,
now? Until he plays.
I didn't say we're great. I'm saying like, okay, Prime. Let me ask you this then. No. CP, I got you. Let me ask you this then. Who are you taking on loan? Colomwani or Awoniyi?
Evan Ferguson.
What? Okay, he's not available. Your choice is Awoniyi or Colomwani.
I don't want Evan Ferguson, bro. Doesn't fix shit for me.
Awoniyi or Colomwani?
One sec, let me flip a coin.
Well,
Yeah.
He said, "Let me flip
they're
a
both
coin."
shit, but Colomwani is not Nigerian, so Colomwani.
Okay.
Mad.
Heads is Colomani, tails is Awoniyi. Okay, let's switch. We got.
Bro, I know Awoniyi is on. I know Awoniyi. I watch him.
Bro, I forgot he
He's good. Oh, it's cool. It's cool.
I liked him
will
last
be here. Scott will be here in 2 months. Talking about, holy shit, we should never have loaned him in. Scott will be here cussing the talent idea of our directors. But you want
No,
him. It's cool.
if he came in and was shit, I'd hold my hands up and say I was wrong. To be fair, but like, bro, someone said promote Washington. I legit forgot he existed.
Yeah, me too.
We're gonna loan him. Nah, I don't want him. We're gonna loan him in, and then it's just gonna give more ammunition for likes of CP about Nigerian forwards not being good. So the guy's shit. I don't want him at my club. Please.
Stop it all.
Shame.
You do it.
Please.
Like as I
He's
said,
shit,
ideally I'd prefer to just go and buy someone, like go and buy Osimhen, go and buy Delap, go and buy Duran, go and buy someone like that. But the fact we're looking like apparently there's the reports of loans, it's like I don't want Colin Mawani. I take Evan Ferguson, but he's also injury prone, and I don't even know if he's the same player. Like if we're just doing these dead loans, it's like a 1 year. I don't think is a terrible.
Ben Jacobs said that the feeling in the industry is we're going to go for Delap. It's just Ipswich is not going to sell him in Jan.
Yeah, no.
Cool. So we're just going to do
waiting.
shit of waiting 6 months and just.
Yep.
Team pissing me off.
I hate to say this, but I feel like the plan is to hold off until the summer, because I think what they might see is like there's players coming back from injury. There's no need to add depth and disturb game time for players coming back from injury. I feel like that's how they're looking at it.
Marshall,
it's not the case at striker though, is it?
Marshall, can I ask you a question then? So, or not a question. I just have to say something. So, what you're telling me then, if that's the case, is it's the exact same bullshit we heard from last season?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, that's 100%.
Great.
Yeah,
sweet.
Yeah.
So it's the same as what happened last season. It's Groundhog Day. I'm living in a I'm in a simulation. This is not real. We're not doing the same thing for 12 months down the line.
You know what's really annoying though is that last season they were kind of right, because what happens in the second half of the season, the results start to upturn. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I agree with all of you guys in terms of like, let's make signings. I would love to have some signings right now. But they ended up being right in terms of let's wait and see what happens before we make rash decisions.
Marshall, I agree with you, but they don't have an AFCON. No, I get you, but they also don't have an AFCON for Jackson to get his form back in.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah. It's a weird predicament. I personally, in terms of for January, what I want to see that would make me happy is midfielder depth and another center back option. I can deal with Jackson or Guiu as a striker until the end of the season, because I don't believe that Jackson is going to end the season at 9 goals. Like, he's just almost at the cusp at 10. And then he's 4 away from matching what he did last season, right?
What do you mean he's on the cusp of 10? Or he's nearly at 10? Like, do you mean
he's nearly at 10? He's nearly at 10. He's 1 goal away from hitting 10 goals in the Premier League.
Well, the way you said that made me think of like, did he get like a half goal, or is he like about to? He's like,
he has been close. He has been close to scoring. Like today, he had a shot that just went wide, and a few other opportunities. But it's just, again, he's gotta lock in and. I think one thing I liked about today was, and this is what I mean, we talked about this already earlier, Palmer wasn't necessarily bad today. And one thing I liked about today is that the link-up play between Palmer and Jackson was a lot more present today than it has been in the last 4 games. And that was something that was key in the early part of the season for us to like get goals and really get, chances created. But I can deal with it's a top 4 race. I can deal with Jackson and Guiu until the end of the season. What I can't do is run Caicedo and Enzo's legs to the ground and then risk Caicedo injury, rely on Lavia, who's not reliable. We're getting rid of Cassidy, who is the closest thing we have to a 6 in this team in terms of depth. If he goes, then what are we going to put KDH there? Are we going to shift Vega there? You don't trust Vega. And Vega's been linked with a loan as well, even though I doubt he's going to go. So it's like, where are the options? What are you going to do when shit hits the fan? I don't know if Maresca has came out and said he's fine, but this kind of gives me that vibe of like Tuchel in the summer, where he comes out and says, I don't need a midfield. My midfield's fine. Then, N'Golo Kante falls, and all of a sudden we get Zakaria. So I would be okay with a midfield signing or some type of midfield depth. I don't feel comfortable relying on Aaron Anselmino, considering that's so much pressure to put on an 18-year-old who just came to this country. And no, none of us here are Maresca out. That'd be ridiculous to be Maresca out right now. I'll be so honest. Imagine being on top 4 after finishing 6th and 12th and saying, I want the manager out. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? But yeah, I do want to go over our goal, which helps me transition into, I guess, the performances on our wings today, which I didn't think was terrible. But I'm sure people want to hear us talk about that, which we'll bring up Jaden and Pedro Neto today. But let's talk about the goal today. So Levi Colwell, great pass from him. Player's been under a lot of scrutiny lately, rightfully so to an extent, but I'm sure we'll discuss that too. Jaden Sancho had a brilliant play here, and he was really brilliant in the first half, to be fair. Second half, I think he kind of just. What, did you say Chalobah would never?
Yeah, Marshall, talk to your American centre back, bro. What's he doing?
Oh, Chris Richards. I mean, yeah. Well, he had a good game.
Yeah, he got sent places there.
Yeah, he did get sent. I'm not gonna lie to you. He got put in a spliff here.
Wait, Marshall, did you say he had a good game?
He had a decent game today.
Marshall, he got targeted in that first half.
He had some good blocks in the game and all that stuff.
He got targeted in that first half, bro.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, listen, first of all, Chalobah has been getting benched by Chris Richards a few times this season. All right, let's.
Oh no! I agree with you that Chalobah shit. It's only Scott here that wants to twerk for Chalobah. I agree with you, Chalobah.
So Scott saw my tweet yesterday and he was like, "All right, I'm coming after Marshall for this."
No. To be fair, like it was more because like I didn't clock who it was when it was happening. I didn't clock who the centre back was until after Sancho got past. And I was like, "Oh, it's Chris Richards," because I like Chris Richards, by the way. I just like throwing the shade because it's kind of funny.
I'm surprised how good he's been, to be fair, but yeah.
But yeah, it was just quite funny to see. I can't lie though. Talking to Palace centre backs quickly before we get back to our goal. My agenda on Maxence Lacroix was we were cooking today. Jackson had him on string. Right? As bad as he was in front of goal, he had him on strings in that first half.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like overall, the Crystal Palace defense, and this is why the Mark Gay links aren't like resonating with me, because I'm not seeing, other than a few moments here and there, I'm not seeing what Mark would bring to this team. Like, other than maybe some stern talking from the back. Like, this defense is not great. It's not a great defense. We were not good in attack. Let's just be honest. We weren't clinical enough in attack. Look at what Arsenal did without Saka to this defense. It just doesn't impress me. And
by the way, I'm so glad you brought it up. I just looked again, just on the centre backs quickly for Palace.
Yeah.
That Arsenal game, who was the one centre back when they lost 5-1? That's their worst defensive performance of the season. Do you know what centre back wasn't playing?
Are you talking about the Premier League one or the Cup one?
The Premier League one, the way they lost 5-1.
Oh, Chalobah wasn't in there.
Oh yeah, Chalobah was playing that. Yeah.
That's the only game that he was benched for, and they lost 5-1. Just saying.
To be fair, though, he played in the cup tie, and Gabriel still got a hat trick on them.
They lost by 1. They lost 3. They lost 5-1 against at home.
No, it was the worst performance. It was the worst of the two.
Just putting out there.
It's God, ridiculous. But yeah, like, this is the one moment in today's game, or one of the moments in today's game, where Jaden Sancho had a brilliant first half performance. Second half, we just didn't see him as much. And Palmer had a good finish here. And that's what we want to see. We want to see more of this. I don't know what happened, why we couldn't get more of this from Palmer. And I think JC brings up a good point, because JC did say this in the beginning, earlier on in the show, of let's keep Palmer higher up. But at the end of the day, Palmer has that free roam role, right? Where he kind of gets to go wherever he wants. And I don't know. Maybe that should be something that we should consider tactically changing up for Palmer. But
I agree. I think on the wings quickly, I do think both of them were good. I think we ultimately saw today, like, kind of what me and CP have been talking about in terms of, and I think I mentioned this earlier as well, where they're both great at creating. Like, they created quite a bit today, especially Sancho. They're not finishers, so much of the finishing falls on Jackson, just because of, kind of to your point and to JC's point, Palmer's having to do a lot more of the creative work now, so he's not really doing a lot of the finishing. So much of it falls on Jackson. and then like the performances where he doesn't score are highlighted even more because of that. But yeah, I think with the Palmer thing, it's difficult. Like, I think this game was a bit difficult because we were playing with the flat back four. So, because like not like you look at the last game, for example, and we've done this before in games, we'll have like a diamond midfield almost. So we Caicedo at the base, you'll have, so against Ipswich, for example, we had Felix on the left, we had at times Palmer on the right, and Enzo as the 10, and then Enzo and Palmer would switch. We didn't have that this game, but that's because we had the double pivot, or we had one of them, and then you had the two 10s as Palmer and Palmer and Enzo, sorry. So like he can't always stay as high because he likes to drop into that little pocket on the right-hand side or left-hand side to pick up the ball. But yeah, he does need to be further forward. And like, hopefully, I don't know what it is. I don't know why it doesn't happen as much. Maybe it's a thing of Lavia not being in the team. I don't know. I don't think it is, but who knows? Maybe it's an instruction thing. But yeah, he needs to be further forward because he can affect the game way more. And also, it's like we said earlier, when he does lose the ball, it's the same with Felix. You want him further up the pitch so he's not in positions like he is in for the goal we concede. Because like, as much as we obviously want him to be on the ball, there are times when he drops deep to get the ball and he's in positions like he was, where it's like you're getting pressed by two guys. You have to either pass backwards or you lose the ball. And if you lose the ball, we're in a transition and we're in trouble. And it's an issue that needs to be figured out. Because
I got the Sofa score stats here.
He's such an effective player for us when he's on his game, but we've seen it too many times this season. Like, he's had huge kind of peaks and valleys where it's like he'll have games like he did against like kind of the second half of Wolves and Brighton, where he's just a complete dominant force and he's the best player in this league and this, that, and the other. He'll have some performances like today where he's very good, but there are ultimately some flaws in his game that cause us to maybe not win or lose or whatever. And then he'll have games where he's just a complete ghost. And that obviously is going to happen with a young player as well. But with his ability, we know that there's so much more he can do in games. Especially you look at the first half and you look at the goal and what he was doing, and it's like you look at the chance he was creating, you look at him getting in the box for the chance that was missed from Neto. He can do so much more.
I just realized you can look at the shot map for each player. Neto clearly had more shots today on goal, but like, and that's the thing. I can't crash it on Neto too much because Malo Gusto, although his performance was better today than in previous matches, it's still not good enough. And when you have someone like that that's not really supporting you, like how Cucurella is there for Jaden,
he should have got an assist.
It's tough. What happened?
He should have got an assist.
To be fair,
yeah. It's tough for Neto to really be as impactful as Jaden was. Like,
also, I'll be honest, Gusto's our worst player. He's worse than Sanchez. He's worse than Sanchez.
He's bad. He's our worst outfield player.
Sanchez is one player, I would say.
Yeah, he's our worst outfield player. He's been shocking. And there's another issue. I think Andrew brought this up. I might need to go back and watch the game. I don't know how to, but I need to focus on this in games more because Andrew was saying apparently Neto and Palmer, he just wasn't getting a lot of the ball. So if anything, I need to maybe find the pass map as well and see if that's the case. But yeah, I don't know. He gets in really good positions, does Neto? Like, and there are times today like where he beats his man really well, and he was a lot better, I thought, in this game than he was against Fulham. But that's because I think he had to do less defensively. Because down that right-hand side, I thought Josh did enough when Gusto was getting beaten. And I thought Gusto just had I agree with what Prime and Andrew said. He had a better game than normal. Still wasn't great, but had a better game than, the absolute travesty that we've been seeing previously this season. But yeah, I thought he was able to get forward a lot more.
Look at this.
And yeah, and ultimately, that dribble success rate is terrible. I can't lie.
No, look at the amount of ground duels that.
Oh no, yeah, he has to win so many.
Insane. Holy crap!
But
so that to me shows me that like there was a lot of attack coming down the Gusto pipeline.
There was a lot on both sides, to be fair. Like that was one thing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Scott. I was interrupting your train of thought there.
No, it's what I honestly was kind of just rambling.
Yeah.
I thought they were both good. Like, It just sucks because I thought, to be fair, most of the team was good. It's literally just like I said it earlier. It's fine margins, and it's just those moments of like it's the same as the fucking Fulham game and everything. It's like it's a carbon copy of like we're the better team by a mile as well. Like as I probably said earlier, without Sanchez, I'm not blaming him like for the result, obviously, but like in the first half, if it hadn't been for him like flapping his shit and like palming stuff back into the danger zone, Palace had nothing. They offered nothing going forward, and every time they did, it was only because when they were whipping in crosses that Sanchez wanted to palm into danger. Outside of that, we were comfortable. We were creating chances. We were doing bits. And then second half, everyone took a big spliff. Like they came out looking like they were high off their heads on something. And it's just a completely different half. And it's just the moments where like Palmer gets beaten, or I say lose the ball, we don't score, and then they kill us on a transition.
Yeah, and you know what's? I'm glad you mentioned it because today's game is almost like a carbon copy of what happened earlier in the season in the home fixture, where we were the better team, but we weren't clinical. And in that discussion, I remember defending Jackson. Why? Because Jackson scored, unlike anyone else in the team. Madueke missed chances. We had Jaden. I don't even know if Jaden played that game. It may have been Neto. I can't remember. Do you guys remember who played that first?
No.
I think it was Jaden. I don't think Jaden did enough. And I can't remember. Hold on. Now I gotta look it up. Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. Bear with the typing, people. Where's the first one? I literally just typed in Chelsea versus Crystal Palace and it gives me Crystal Palace versus Chelsea. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know if he played in the first one. I don't know if he was in here by that time.
Yeah, I can't remember. Someone had to have played. Like,
well,
I remember Jaden's first game was. Jaden's first game was. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it definitely Madueke played. It's just that whoever played on the left.
Yeah.
Played on the left that game. Oh, okay, here we go.
When was it? Was it before or after the Bournemouth game?
It was Neto.
I was going to say that.
Yeah,
if it was,
Neto,
I was going to say, if it was before the Bournemouth game, it definitely would have been Neto.
Yeah.
And I'll
because Bournemouth was Sancho's first game.
I'm glad you brought it up. The next game has me worried. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
What's the next game?
Our next game is against Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. Or in the league.
Oh yeah, fuck me.
That one has me worried because, again, you put context into it. The first game, well, are we at home? Oh, okay, we're at home.
Yeah, we're at home this game.
I'll be real. That Fulham game, it doesn't matter, ultimately.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, we have to remember, we barely beat Bournemouth in the first fixture.
And Nkunku ain't doing shit in this next game.
Yeah, it was an Nkunku
and
substitution saved. Yeah, Sancho and Nkunku saved us, but we were lucky not to concede more goals that game. Now, we don't have Fofana. It's gonna be Acheampong, I hope. Levi Colwill, Acheampong, Cucurella, and I guess Malo Gusto at right back.
No, I play.
You would play Tosin?
Yeah, I play Tosin at centre back and put Acheampong at right back. Because then you've got you've either got the option then of playing the flat back four, which I think would work with Acheampong there, or you can go back to the back three and have Acheampong as the right centre back, and it still works.
Mm-hmm. Master Michael, I wish I had your optimism for that one. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'll probably be pumped when we get to the game, just because I always get pumped before football matches. But yeah, right now after today's performance, I'm just like.
But like you said it, Scott. Like today's performance, we performed well. We just weren't fucking clinical. And then one mistake. Yeah, one mistake then leads to because this Crystal Palace played better than the first one. I'll admit, like this was a better Crystal Palace than the at home fixture. But regardless, like it was the mistake that cost us. Obviously, they were clinical in that moment. We did have some chances where Sanchez did like kind of keep us in the game, and we looked a little bit rocky in the defense. But we had chances to put it away, and now I'm looking at that Bournemouth game. The team has now dropped points in 4 matches in a row. We're a loss and a Newcastle win and whatever away from dropping down to potentially 7th place if we don't get 3 points here, right? So now it's definitely a title race we've entered in. Easily a title race. We could have had
Top
it a
four.
little bit easier. Top 4. Sorry. Jesus Christ. Now we're definitely in a top 4 race. Now we obviously it wouldn't be Chelsea if we wouldn't make it harder on ourselves. Now we made
How
it
many
harder
points
on
are we ahead of
ourselves.
City?
We're 2 points ahead of City, I believe.
Currently 2.
Fucking.
Yeah.
And now Savinho's coming alive and Haaland. Oh.
You're saying we're in
And-
January,
and
I'm
you know what?
literally they're and I spoke about it before, by the way. I don't know how he'll do, but reportedly they're on the verge of signing another player. They're on the verge of making a signing with 5 days into the window.
I'll say this too, to add more context to it, guys. Bournemouth are on 33 points. We're on 36. Bournemouth are going to be motivated to get.
Fuck me, if they beat us, they'll fucking level on points with us.
Yeah,
I think they're on an
exactly.
8-game unbeaten run. I read.
What's their? Hey, big up
You could-
Iraola. What's their goal difference?
They're at 7. We're at 15. So we'll be in
Oh, that's
6th
fine.
place if they beat us. But regardless, it's like it will be out of our control now. The top 4 race, where we were sitting in cruise control, and now we need to win this game. We need to win all the games, to be honest. But we need to win this game. Otherwise, then we're relying on other teams to drop points to get back into top 4, rather than just staying in top 4 where we are right now.
Yeah.
But that game is going to be tough, and I'm worried. You said Tosin, right? I'm worried that Tosin for me is the type of center back that he can handle maybe like a one-on-one when things are not crazy. But when there's a lot of energy, a lot of bodies, and a lot of pressing, like how Bournemouth seem to attack, they're very like swarmy in a sense. I feel like he's gonna get overwhelmed, and he's gonna drop a disaster class.
I
Well, the
understand
problem
that.
is though, Marshall, are you then going to rely on a back line with an average age of 20, a pairing of 2 centre backs,
Oh, that makes
average
me
age
sick.
of 20?
That makes me sick. Oh god. Also, Marshall, the other question I have off the back of that, excuse me, is it's kind of a case of pick your poison. Are you going to play then Gusto, who's been arguably our worst outfield player the whole season, or are you playing Tosin, who no one really trusts? Like, it's pick your poison.
Yeah, I know. It's a tough one. I mean, even part of me, and listen, I don't want it, but part of me is thinking, like, tactically, do we sit back on this one? And if we do sit back and defend the box, is Axel a better option as a defend the box right center back? Like, I don't know.
Axel Disasi is in too much bad form, like mentally wise, to be put in any game.
He should never play it.
Yeah, I agree. We were talking about against Bournemouth.
Sorry, hang on. Why was Disasi's name brought up? I missed that. I was not paying attention.
No, I'm just thinking, like, tactically, if we're gonna sit back and do on a counter, like, if we need to defend the box, like, Disasi is pretty decent.
That's the thing.
A, we're not going to do that, and B, he should never touch the pitch for us again.
I agree, Scott. But yeah,
he's playing camp, so.
If we're talking about against Bournemouth, I'm playing Josh. Josh has, like, don't play Josh against Morecambe. Don't, Maresca. Play him against Bournemouth.
No problem. Do you want to answer this one? I think it's an interesting little tidbit that was brought up.
Answer Tammy. Shut the fuck up, man.
You want me to cook Tammy? Okay.
I mean, you can
tell
Tammy.
Cook Tammy, yeah. I tell Tammy to start a game at AC Milan because he was on the bench.
Hey, if Tammy wasn't so shit, Jose would not have got sacked. Camel says, I'm not. It's true. A Roma fan put up a compilation. The amount of missed chances that
I didn't even see this
at Roma in the 2.5 years Jose was there. Jose would have got top 4 in his second season, but the chances Tammy missed. So, but anyways,
I've been hearing. I brought it up too because I've been hearing a lot of the comparisons about, oh, we got rid of Tammy for this. Tammy was doing the same thing and all that. And listen, Camille, I agree with you. I don't rate Tammy, but let's also
answer a question.
Put context to it before you go, Prime. When you look at the goals that Tammy scored, they were very much from the beginning of the season, similar to Jackson, but he scored a hat trick against a shitty Wolves side. Probably better than this Wolves side, to be honest. But
yeah.
There's actually, I'll look at it. Go ahead, Prime. Let me look up Tammy's stats.
No, sorry, Jason. I mean his first season, the chances missed, not his second season. But yeah, bring up the comment, please, Marshall.
Wait, what the fuck I just read?
Okay. We're also not going to act as if Tammy's season at Chelsea, the 1920 season. We're also not going to act as if he bagged a hat trick against Wolves. He scored like 7 goals in the space of 4 games, and then he went ghost for the majority of the season. Let's not pretend that didn't happen. Okay, but whatever.
Tammy also had far more first team football experience at that time than Jackson has now.
That is very true. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes.
Tammy also went machine for machine with Timo Werner for some of the most embarrassing misses I've ever seen at this football club. Tammy once headed a ball off the line. That was a tapping.
Tottenham, right?
No, West Ham.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
You remember?
Mount,
you know how I remember
cross,
it?
right?
Because Mount was on the wing. He could have squared it to Ziyech. Instead of squaring it to Ziyech, Mount went down the boundary line, crossed it for Tammy, and he headed it off the line. Or whatever. Hamill. Hey, listen. Don't let me build a Rigo case on Tammy, bro.
It was 1920, right, guys? That was the season where Lampard made his debut.
Sorry?
This is the season.
This
is the season. Yeah, I found it. I'm gonna post
funny. That's also the season I started to hate Chelsea. Crazy. Jackson is shit, and why does our fan base back him but hate Tammy, who was more clinical? Our fan base is deluded as Arsenal and deserve Jackson. Well, that's funny because the only other fan base I know that would defend a player like Tammy is Arsenal fans. Look at how they defend Havertz. Look at how they defend Jesus.
Yeah,
look at how they defend Moreno.
Bro. Look at these. I just brought up the stats. Like, I'm not. You miss me with this Tammy bullshit because I remember we looked into this too, and I was like, wow. When you put the context to it, it's not that great of a performance. And Prime nailed it on the head. Not nailed it on the head. I think I said that right. Yeah.
Well, people love to say take away Jackson's hat trick against Spurs. That's fine. Take away Tammy's 7 goals in 4 games. That in 1920, and what is his goal tally?
Like, first of all, 15 goals, and he had a lot more experience than Jackson did. But half of his goals came from. Okay, I'm not gonna say Wolves are a relegation side, but they were in 19th place at the time. But a hat trick against Wolves, 2 against Sheffield, a relegation side, 2 against Norwich, 1 against Southampton. Does that impress you? Does that impress anyone in the chat?
Keep scrolling, Marshall.
Watford. Does that impress anyone in the chat? Crystal Palace, which Jackson scored against Crystal Palace.
Palace.
Villa. Okay, that's an impressive goal. Good for him.
He got injured against West Ham. I had a
yeah, he got injured against West Ham. He got a goal against
Jackson scored against Villa as well.
Jackson scored.
He scored against an Arsenal, that's an Arsenal side, by the way, that just had Mikel Arteta. They were shit there. I don't count that as a big game.
Like
who was their centre backs been like? David Luiz and what's his face? You know what I mean?
I don't count that.
The big games that Tammy scored in this season was a 5-3 against Liverpool and Arsenal, and this is a banter era Arsenal, by the way.
That was Arteta's second game at Arsenal. That doesn't count for me as a big game.
That was his first home game.
The Liverpool game he scored in was Liverpool after they had won the title when they were all hungover. That doesn't count.
We were 4-1. By the way, we were 4-1 down when he scored that goal.
And
we were 4-1 down by the time he scored that goal.
I remember that goal. That was Christian Pulisic who did all the work.
Oh, that's when he megged Gomez and Trent, right?
So.
Yeah, oh my god, what a goal that was, by the way.
Pulisic did all the work. So I remember having to fight Chelsea fans on Tammy not being good. I'm not having Tammy revisionism. People saying we shouldn't have bought Lukaku, we should have kept Tammy. No.
Tammy was a poacher.
If we bought Tammy can get poached in the jungle. If we had bought Tammy for 40 mil, people only rate Tammy because he's Cobham. I swear. If we had bought Tammy for 40 mil, 50 mil, no one would rate him. I swear to you. It's only because he's from Cobham.
And also, by the way, just to add, all this chat about us needing a box presence. Really, Tammy Abraham? Really? Don't start
To be
with
fair, I don't necessarily think like Camille and I don't know about others, but I don't think Camille was talking about Tammy in terms of like he wants him back because I think he said he hates Tammy. But I get what he says in terms of like the sport directors, and I agree.
Yeah.
Like no, not the comparisons about Tammy, but he made a comment later where he said about it's not on Jackson, it's on the sport directors, and that's how I agree. Like I think ultimately, so much of the issues that happen with Jackson, I said this earlier, they're not Jackson's fault. It's just because he's the only guy, like he's the only striker we really have outside of Hugh, but we don't know whether he can play in the Prem or not. But he's not trusted. So much of our onus on goals falls onto Jackson, and ultimately we can't really work out whether he's like it or not. And I don't think we'll know until the end of the season. I already said I'm going to reserve my full judgment until the end of the season, because if he gets the same amount of goals he did as last season, yes, we need someone better. But if he gets anywhere from 18 plus, then no. But yeah, we just need someone else at the 9. Like we need something else. Like whether that's a backup or I think it should be a backup right now. But yeah, it's like it's not good enough ultimately. Like how we're going into the season with with our strikers being Jackson, who had a question mark around him in the summer, like in terms of whether he was going to be that guy this season. I think he has answered most of those question marks for me this season so far, but there was ultimately question marks around whether he could be the number one guy. And Hugh, who's 18, had played all of, I don't know exactly how many minutes, but I think all of like 200 minutes or something for Barca in his career, and that was it. Like, that's criminal. And they got lucky. Not lucky, but like, lucky in a sense of like, how well we were doing masked and how well Jackson was doing masked their bullshit. And it's like I said earlier, we are 12 months on. Like CB said this earlier, and he was getting cooked a lot. And because some of what he was saying on Lewis's channel was kind of bullshit, but he said this before or something to this effect of like, we were in the same position last year talking about Jackson, is he good enough? We want to see Brozier some more, trust in Brozier. We're in the same fucking position, just instead of Brozier, it's Hugh. We're 12 months on. It's deja vu. This is a simulation. I'm experiencing the same day every fucking day. Like, that's what we're experiencing. It's the same thing.
But I agree it's the same thing. But in this instance, obviously, it's less of a question, if you get what I'm saying. Like,
I don't think it is.
What I mean in terms of saying it's less of a question, last season, it was a blatant, like, obvious, like, okay, this guy's clearly not ready. This guy's not up to snuff. Like, you can tell we still need another striker. Let's try Brozier. We saw Brozier. He went to AFCON. We saw what we missed. This season, it's been, like, the last 4 games. And it's
not just been the last 4 games. There's been moments in the season where, like, we could have made a change. And also, the bigger issue for me is, what happens, like, say, I'm glad he hasn't. He somehow managed to rein it in. What would have happened if Jackson got that 5th yellow card?
Oh, yeah.
Who would have played?
But this is what I mean, though. Like, he's
great.
He's clearly, Jackson at this point of the season now versus Jackson at this point of the season last season is a much better player, right? And so there are still questions, but I feel like the rumbling is not as loud as it was last season. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And I still think, yeah, we do need to have that discussion of we need another striker. We need someone to compete with him. And I think the directors see that as well. I mean, if all had gone well in the summer window, we would have had Osimhen competing with Jackson. But obviously things didn't work out. I did just want to point out one thing. Wanting Osimhen doesn't mean hating Jackson. Fergie had 4 9s. I understand that completely. I understand it completely. However, when you say shit like this, that trash striker you've been sucking off all season, when you call your striker a trash striker, that's hating on him. Sorry to say that, but it's hating on him. So let's keep the energy consistent here, okay? But in
Marshall,
terms of,
where I disagree with you slightly, sorry to interrupt, on the Jackson thing is,
all right, at least you admit it.
I agree with you. Like the position we're in is the same, but the reason behind it is different, if that makes sense. So we're in the same position we were in the January window. We need a striker. The difference is the reasoning. Last year it was because none of us knew if Jackson was good enough to be number one, so we wanted an Osimhen. This year it's we need a number one because Jackson can't be relied upon all the time. So like the reasoning has shifted because Jackson has improved, but the problem is still there because it was never addressed and continues to not be addressed. And again, it's the same issue at centre-back that continues not to be addressed, and the same issue in goal that continues not to be addressed, and the same issue in terms of depth in midfield that continues not to be addressed. Like,
yeah,
I'd say this, but they did so well. Like, even the window we just came off, the summer window, they did really well. Like, I'd probably give that a 7 or 8 out of 10. But it wasn't perfect, and they're still doing bullshit. Like, they're still doing nonsense, and they're still not fixing it. And I don't think it costs us this season. I think we've got enough. I think we're good enough, even despite the results, to finish top 4. But if we want to challenge for the title, this team's nowhere near.
I'm not even looking at, because I next season, which brings up what Jason Wright says here. How many seasons before we compete? Keep waiting or buying kids, not taking us to a top level.
Well, there you go. It depends on what we do.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you because I don't know what they're going to do in the summer. I don't know.
This is where I go back to what I said in the summer. I'm giving it 3 seasons, right? This is the 3rd season that I'm like, I want to see where we're at. I want to get back to where we used to be and competing. So next season for me, if all goes well and we're back in top 4 at the end of the season, next season for me is competing for the title. Now, this brings me back to the Jackson discussion, right? I do believe Jackson can, keyword, can be the number one. I think the strategy should be to bring in another striker that will compete for that number one, because I'm not thinking just a title race. I'm thinking Champions League as well.
No, fuck the
we're in
top
4. No, but I do care about the Champions League. We need to compete in the Champions League. I don't want to just crash out in group stages.
No, but I think it will have enough to get through. Like, I'll be real. The reason I'm not focused on the Champions League is because a couple reasons. Number one is I don't think that should be our focus in terms of winning it. I think we've got enough to get through the group stage. If we get a good draw, I think we've got enough to get maybe to the quarters. If we get to the quarters, I don't care. My thing is as well with the league, we haven't won the league in 8 years by the end of this season. 8 years.
Yeah.
I want us to challenge for the title. I want to know what it's like to win a league title again. And this, by the way, we're in a perfect moment. The thing with the Champions League is that can happen at any moment. We saw that. If you just go on a run, if you have a great defense, if something happens, the stars align, you can win that. The league, this is the best chance with the whole City thing and the whole Arsenal thing and everything, especially the Liverpool thing. If they lose Trent and Salah in the summer, you're talking about the best chance we've had in years to win this title. Years. And that's with this season going how it's going.
Yeah.
Like, I need us to challenge for that title. And this squad is like 5 players away.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying with that, though, Sky, is that in terms of the squad, I want to see that B team raised to a much more competitive level where we can rotate a decent amount of players and not worry about a drop off.
Marshall, do you know how you do that?
If we rotate a decent amount of players, I feel like there is a significant drop off from the A level team to the B level. Yeah.
Marshall, do you know how you do that? You make the A team better, because then the A team players become the B team players and they're the floors raised.
Yeah.
That's literally how you do it. Like, you take sorry to interrupt you. For example, let's look at Fofana, right? Say he comes back and he's fit and he's healthy. You say, cool. That's your first choice B team centre back, because the A team centre back is Colwill and it's Jonathan Tah. It's not going to be Tah, but it's Jonathan Tah, right?
Yeah. Just
all of a sudden, Jorgensen's your backup, your B team keeper, and that's fantastic. He can be the B team keeper because your number one keeper is an Emi Martinez. Great. Like, same in midfield's a bit different. We've got our A team midfielders, but the B team midfielders are just going to get better anyway because Santos is going to come back and you hope Leslie's going to be involved or whatever, right? Or Lavi is fit. Same in attack. All of a sudden, maybe next season, Sancho comes in. He's the B team winger, which is fine because he's going to kill it in the Champions League, because your new A team winger is Kavicha. It's not going to be. I'm just throwing names out there, right, for the purpose of this example. That's how you make the B team better. Is you make the A team better, because then the A team players drop down, and the players that were in the B team, those shit, get sold.
Mm-hmm. But let me ask you guys something. In terms of the bringing a striker that's above Jackson level, right? Do you guys think there's strikers out there that are actually like you bring them in and they're going to be clear above?
Gyökeres right now.
But there's a caveat with Gyökeres, right? Because he's doing it in Liga NOS. I'm not trying to discredit Liga NOS, but there is that hesitancy. What? Did I say it right? I did.
I don't even know what you said.
Liga NOS.
I don't think Prime was paying attention.
Okay. No, I'm laughing at this Kaneki cooking. But regardless, what are we talking about?
No, I'm just
talking about strikers. This comment.
Strikers that come in and are clear, clear of Jackson's level.
Oh, yes.
I
That's
like
what
Gyökeres,
I kept saying in the summer. Remember?
Yeah.
I kept saying in the summer that I don't want any of your bullshit Seskos or whatever. You give me a striker that's better than Tammy. Or sorry, better than Jackson.
I think I'll be able to answer this question. It's like I said, I'll be able to answer this question in better, like from a better standpoint at the end of the season, because my answer will change depending on vary depending on what Jackson finishes with. If Jackson finishes with 18, 19 league goals, which he can still, then I would say probably not, or there are like guys that can compete. If he finishes with 14 again, then absolutely yes. Like Osimhen, if he finishes with 14, then I'll come on his stream and say Osimhen's better than him, like a level at least better than him. Same with Gyökeres, like even same with others, like Isak as well. Like there are guys that are definitely able to compete with him and are probably better than him. Like I know I joke about it, right? And I say that they're close, but Osimhen's probably better than him, right?
Yeah.
It depends how much better than him is the thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, Scott, right? Because Jackson has actually like jumped up levels. Like if you're talking about at the start of last season, yes, Gyökeres, Osimhen, all these guys are better. But right now, what we've seen from Jackson and the potential we know he can get to, I don't think it like. I would love an Osimhen, I would love a Gyökeres, but like, would I really want to spend that amount of money when I know Jackson can get to that level by maximum end of next season? No, it'd be a waste.
Yeah, it kind of that's why I say it kind of depends for me on what ends of the season with, and it's just the money, because like me and Joey have talked about this. Like if Osimhen is there, right, and it's going to cost you 50, 60 mil, I'm paying that money and I'm getting him. Mm-hmm. Like if it's going to cost you 50, 60 mil, that's something I'm doing, because that's not a lot for a guy that is very good and has scored goals in multiple leagues. Like he scored double digits in every league he's been in, I think, outside of the Bundesliga, but he barely played for Wolfsburg. But if it's going to cost you 80 to 90, that's where I say no, thank you. That's where I hold off and go, okay, maybe not. But again, it's like it's just a case of we at least need someone. Obviously, it has to be the right guy, but it has to be someone, because it's too much right now just for absolutely not Vlahovic. He's been shit.
I think for me, and it's a good point you brought this up, Scott. Like we do have to look at it at the end of the summer. We got to see how the season pans out. If Jackson stagnates here, right? Which it would be a damn shame if he did. I don't think he will, but if he stagnates here, then I'm looking at Osimhen, I'm looking at Gyökeres and saying, okay, these guys are probably better. But if it goes the way I expect it to go, where he's going to beat how many goals he had last season, and he's going to develop and become a better player, right now, if we look at the stats right now, Osimhen is arguably not better than Jackson right now on form. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that
after today he is. I think he scored a goal today, so he's on 10.
Yeah, maybe after today, but for the longest time, I wasn't really convinced. Gyökeres, time will tell. Has the hype died down ever since Amorim left? Is he a system player?
No, he's still scoring.
Is he?
Yeah, I was gonna say he wasn't until I think again either today or like yesterday he got a hat trick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Duran.
Marshall.
Is
this Duran is I like Duran.
The money.
I love Duran. Right now in the league, he's on like 21 league goals. 21 fucking league goals in 17
like 17 games, isn't it?
Yes, 17 games, 21 league fucking goals.
Darwin Núñez put up really good numbers for you know,
it
the
is
the
obvious
fees
Nunes
as
put up
well.
26.
And
No,
it's-
Nunes
it
put up 26. No, Nunes put up 26 in 28 games. He has 23 in 17 games. He's gonna fucking shatter that shit. He's gonna
That's
fully
fair. I
build this
I
season.
do still
There is
think there is like you can have
trepidation.
reservations because of the
Yeah, I
league
have
and everything in the
reservations,
team, but like it's one of those I want to wait and see. The Duran thing, by the way, I love Duran. No one knew who Duran was before the season.
Yeah, it's not babysitting of Jackson. It's
Unless
just
you watched MLS, I'll be so
genuinely-
honest. Unless
yeah.
you watched MLS, you had no idea who Duran was before
No
the
one,
season.
no one knew. It's not the babysitting of Jackson. It's just that I don't know. Like, obviously, I'll bring in another striker, but I can't sit here and say Liam Delap is clear of Jackson. I can't sit here and say that Osimhen is clear of Jackson. I can't sit here and say that Gyökeres is clear of Jackson because maybe Liga Nos tax, right? Like, I have my reservations. Obviously, you can think that based on the stats, but Darwin Núñez had similar stats, and look at how he's playing out of Liverpool. There is reservations to be had there. I can't sit here and say Kolomoani is clear of Jackson, like the realistic links. I can sit here and say that Isak is clear of Jackson. However, Isak is
I
150
disagree.
million.
I'm sorry. Isak's not clear. I don't think Isak's even better than Jackson. I'm sorry. I'm a massive. For me, Isak's you guys overhype Isak, bro. I'd be so real.
What do you
I
mean?
think the
He
issues
put
with
20 goals
Isak is
2
that he's
seasons
never
in a row.
fit
know.
for a whole season.
I don't.
His fitness is
He
an
only
issue.
started really scoring goals recently, bro. I look at Isak. I'm
Last
like,
season
I
he
look at
scored
Isak.
20 goals
I look
anyways.
at Isak,
You sound
and
a
I'm
little
like,
muffled, CP.
for the money that he's gonna cost, I'm not buying it. What 120 mil or whatever?
150.
I'm not
We're
buying
not
No,
that.
saying
it's
you
insane
need to
amount of
buy him.
money.
We're saying in general, as a player, he's better than Jackson.
Even in general.
Don't stop
Nah.
it. Fuck off. No, now you're being disingenuous. You're being so
Again,
disingenuous.
I'm just giving my personal opinion. Meh.
That's
I'm sorry,
that's
no.
insane. The man who can score with both feet, score outside the box, and head the ball. Yeah, I'm fucking taking that guy.
Good for you. Isaac only has like a year or two over him. I don't think he's clear. And I barely think he's better. I'm not taking Isaac.
I mean, that's fair. That's your opinion. I think when fit,
I think
Isak is a
people
really good
don't
striker.
actually, because he doesn't play for a top 6 side. People don't actually consistently watch Isaac. They don't.
Yes,
Because
no.
the misses,
Newcastle
you know what?
is
Misses-
six.
You.
the misses,
With
the
these
misses-
strikers, just quickly,
hold on, the misses this guy has, if he was under a microscope and he was Jackson, people would be ridiculing it. But because he's at Newcastle, it's not a problem. But once you play for a top 6 side, you can't be doing that because you're going to get ridiculed.
Mhm.
I do hear that. The thing I'd say as well with these strikers, and the question I'd have, because I was thinking about this with Jackson, can you definitively say, with the strikers we're mentioning, that we win the league title? Because like,
No, and that's what I mean.
of all the ones we've mentioned, I think there's one who I'd say we probably with, and the rest, all of them, I'd say I don't know. To either know or I don't know. The only one for me who I think you could say, yeah, we probably would, as long as we create enough chances for him, is Osimhen. Like, outside of him, Gyökeres, I don't know. Like, because again, it's the league thing, and like, I just don't know. Isak, I don't think we would, and Jackson, I don't think we would right now, as we're speaking on Sunday the 5th for us in England.
Whoa, hold on,
Like,
Scott. Why wouldn't we with
And
Isaac?
that's what it is. I don't think we would. Personally, I don't. Again, it goes back to I don't think he's that much of an upgrade over Jackson, to the point where and I don't think we would.
Scott can
I
say
don't
it.
think. I don't think with Isak, there's I think he's a very good player and I rate him, but I don't think he's the gap. I don't think he bridges the gap in terms of from a striking perspective of winning us the league. And as I said, I just think the only person right now that does potentially is Osimhen. Potentially.
And why is it Scott can say this and it's okay?
No.
No. If I had said everything Scott just said, that Isak's not. I said Isak's overrated. Scott just said
no.
Isak is not much better than Jackson, and the only guy that could win us a league title is Osimhen. If I said that, I'm crazy. You have CP butting in and talking about how he missed a chance in the AFCON final. Yeah. But Scott says it. And it's okay. Cool. We have our favorites off the show, people. Our favorites.
I'm not saying anything.
It's funny because I think all of us have different opinions on this.
Wait, hold up, Scott. What did you say with regards to Isaac? I missed that part. Apologies. What did you say?
I don't
that-
think so. I basically with these strikers, I asked the question of the question comes back to me with strikers because the ultimate goal for us should be winning the league.
Yeah.
With the strikers we have or are looking at, do we win the league title? And I think the only one I can say that we would potentially is Osimhen. Gyökeres, I'm still unsure. Like the goals, I understand the goal through rate is nuts, and it is nuts. The league thing and who he's playing for, like, just still gives me pause. So he's like, I don't know. With Isak, I don't think we would because I don't think he's that much better than Jackson.
What the?
Jackson right now.
Tell me a guy who can score from every fucking angle of the fucking pitch, who scored 20 goals in this league. That when we were talking about Osimhen, no, you said Osimhen, and we agreed has scored only 20 goals in his league once in a good league. Isaac is going to score 20 goals 2 leagues in back to back, and you're telling me he's not good enough. But fucking Victor Osimhen with one season where he scored 24, and now he's playing for Galatasaray, the most OP team in the Turkish league, with 10 goals, is now fucking better than Isak. That's fucking insane. He's on 13 goals right now. He's going to score 20 in the season in the league for Newcastle.
If he stays fit.
Yeah. He was injured for the first month, and he's still on 13.
Yeah, no, I know, it's impressive.
Exactly.
I just don't know. With Isak, maybe I'm missing something. I rate him, but there's still something missing for me. But I don't. If you think
Osimhen is good enough to win the league, Isak has to be the same. What is this? What the fuck?
I did forget to mention, and this is my hot take. I think we all have different takes on this. I personally think, with the way the league's been going, I think with Jackson we can win the league. And I mean this next season, right? I'm not talking about this season. I think there's a player there that is good enough to win the league, because I don't think you need the best attack. No, but just in terms of like
strikers,
I don't think you need the best attack to win the league. I think to win the league you need a really good, if not the best, defense.
I agree with you, Marshall. Can I just say as well that like this season, I think Jackson can end it with 20 league goals, minimum 17, right?
Sure.
If Jackson can be getting 17 or 20 consistently, and you have Palmer who's going to chip in roughly the same amount, then you need at least 10 goals or more from maybe one of your wingers. Yep. So I need
from Madueke.
I'll say
whether it's Sancho, Neto, Madueke. Yeah, I need them to start chipping in with goals, because our backup striker we bring in, he can get me like 5 to 10. That's fine, but I need my starting players. I need someone up, because I don't want this thing where I'm relying on Jackson and Palmer, and when their goals dry up, all of a sudden I'm an enemy of center forward. Suck your mum. And all of a sudden I have no one else who can get goals from. Like today. And that's why I've as much as what it is with Madueke, and I hate Ahmed, I've wanted Madueke to get more minutes in the last few games, because at least he provides an actual goal threat.
I think, as we just on that thing with what Prime said, I agree. I was going to make this point, and I always go back. The season I always go back to it when I make this point is the season City won the league with no centre forward. They had either 4 or 5 players with 14 plus goals. Yeah. Like their top goal scorer. Their top goal scorer didn't have a lot of goals. I think their top goal scorer was either Gundogan or Sterling on 16, but they then had another 4 guys. I think it was Sterling that season. They then had another 4 guys on 14 plus goals, 14 or 15 goals.
And that's they did that like 3-4 times, by the way.
That's fair, but like, the reason I always go back to that season though is they played that whole year playing no striker. They played a false 9 the whole season. They didn't have a striker in their team, but because everyone chipped in with goals, they won the league. And that's the same thing of like, I think, and that's where it comes back to with Jackson, where it's like, I think you can, I kind of agree with Marshall. I think you can win the league with Jackson in the team if he's getting you like 17, 18 goals. Yeah. That's but if that's the case, you have to then get 15 to 20 goals from Palmer. You have to be getting 10 to 15 goals, probably 15 goals from one of your wingers, at least one of your wingers, which we're not from either winger. Any of our wingers, actually, forget either, any of our wingers. You have to start getting goals from other places. And this goes back to the thing I said earlier, where like, if it's not Jackson scoring, and if it's not Palmer, but even he hasn't been doing it recently, there's no one scoring in our team.
Yeah, and everyone's saying Esteban. No. This is what I know when people don't fucking watch. Because I've been watching the Brazilian league since 2011. When you're giving me Esteban hype jobs, I was one of the first ones to hype him up in Lewis's stream. He's not going to be a fucking messiah next season. Please, people, give him a year to adapt. Please, for the love of God, don't do the Nkunku God treatment. For the love of fucking God, I'm seeing in the chat he's going to score 15 fucking goals.
But hang on.
Fucking insane.
He doesn't fix the issue, by the way. Like, yes, he's a goal scoring winger. He came third in the goal scoring charts in Brazil with 13. So if you like take away how many he probably
He was
gets,
injured for a bit, yeah.
But if you take away how many he probably gets in the league, even if he scores goals, he's probably getting like 7 or 8 in this league at best.
Yeah, especially in the first season.
Which would be a fantastic return. Would be a fantastic return. That doesn't fix what I just said. That's half of what I would expect a goal scoring winger to get.
Player who's going to be getting minutes off the bench. Maybe he'll start against like a Sunderland or an Ipswich or whatever in the league. We'll start Carabao Cup, FA Cup. That's fine. Like again, I've been telling people, Esteval, be prepared that he's going to look like what Vinny looked like at Real Madrid for a season or two. I'm prepared for that. That he's going to look bad for a year or two. Because that guy looks like a twig. That guy is going to get his neck snapped. He needs to bulk up a bit. He needs to get used to this league and used to living in this country. Just from a cultural perspective, it's a massive, massive switch. So be prepared that he's not going to be that. He's not going to be amazing for a year or two.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's going to be as bad as Vinny because I've watched.
No, I'm not saying as bad. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying he's going to be like up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, of course. He's a young kid. I'll be honest. Next season, I'm expecting 5 goals in the league from him next season. That's it.
That'd be great. That'd be a great return. But I go back to what I just said. If we're talking about goal scoring winger, by the way, if he gets 5 goals in the league, that I keep bringing this up and I'll continue to bring this up, that would match Neto's best ever goal scoring season in the league. He's been there. That if he got 5 goals, he'd match what Madueke is currently on. And to be fair, Sancho has had a season where he got 17 goals in the league, which was not. And then I think he had another season he got like 14 goals in the league.
14, yeah.
But this is the issue where it's like, even if we get that striker, which we definitely should, but even if we get the striker that's better than Jack, say we got Osimhen, right, and he gets you 20 to 25 goals, which I think he probably could in this league, we still need our wingers to step up with goals.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because there's going to be games. There's going to be games where Osimhen just like he doesn't score or he's off.
Yeah. Or he has games. He has games where he's marked out, like he has both centre backs on him, and he just doesn't get the chance, doesn't get the space. At that point, the next place you should be getting goals for is the 10. But if it's the 10, it's probably similar issue if they're in it. It's crowded centrally. If Osimhen's getting marked out, say we have Osimhen, it's crowded. The next place after that is the wings.
But that's why, like, I brought up what I brought up, right? It's that, and people like to delude themselves into this idea that, oh, bringing in the striker is going to be clearly better. He's going to score every single game. Like, it's not how it works. It really isn't how it works. These strikers, and actually, this actually brings me to this comment that I wanted to bring up. It's not even a comment. It was Maresca's comments, so it is a comment technically. Enzo Maresca, we did enough to win the game today. Between the first and second halves, we created enough chances to win the game, but we need to be clinical. Unfortunately, at the end, we conceded, but overall, I think we did enough to win the game. I agree. 3 weeks ago, we were talking about a title race. We knew the Newcastle and Villa would be there. City 2, for me, it's not about the table, but it's how you improve things. Needing to be more clinical. It's important to create chances because that means we are doing the right things, but then you need to take those chances. We tried to be even more intense during the week when we are preparing for the game, even if the intensity or the intention is already top. It's something we need to improve, even if we are one of the best teams in the moment in terms of scoring goals. And then on Jackson, for a striker, and this is true, sometimes they will score all their chances. Sometimes they don't score. He had two or three clear chances today, so that means he is there and ready. Hopefully next time he can be more lucky. And I get that. It's not necessarily luck either, but there is some, striker instincts that need to kick in. But in terms of what I brought up earlier, right, which is unless there's a striker that is clear-cut better than Jackson, which the ones that are out there aren't realistic signings for us. In my opinion, Isak is one of them. He's not a realistic signing for Chelsea. Haaland, I don't even know if he's overall a better footballer. I think he's just a good goal scorer and he needs to be fed as well. Sure, but he's also not a realistic signing. There's not many out there. So that's why I'm saying, like, I think in terms of the ones that are realistic, that I think would help us out for challenging next season and for Champions League and bolstering the team overall, My three are Liam Delap, Osimhen, and I think not Alfonso Davies, Jonathan David. These are the three that I think are really good shouts that would benefit this team, that will eventually become that top striker, in my opinion. Jackson more so than maybe Jonathan David. And that you can build something off that, and eventually you will have that type striker, the Isak that people are asking for. And you can still challenge for the league, because I don't think all goals need to come from the striker. I think overall what you guys said, improving on the goals all around in the attack is going to help us. I mean, we see right now how City are suffering trying to funnel goals just through Haaland. And if Haaland's off form, then what are you going to do? How are you going to get your goals?
I was waiting because obviously I know you guys were in a bit of a flow, but I would honestly say, in terms of strikers right now, honestly, if there's someone that you think is available on loan, or if you can get this guy, obviously find him. But I think realistically, we're not going to get a striker anyway. So I think there's no point of us discussing a striker in this January transfer window.
I'm sorry,
so,
Ahmed. I just need to clear something up. I'm really sorry. Jason, it's not that we're backing Jackson. It's that who out there is clear of Jackson that is the solution. The best thing you can do out there right now is get someone that can compete with him. That's really the truth. I'm not backing him. I'm not saying like, Jackson will be fine. Like, no.
What I would say though, is that if we bring in Delap, I think we need to realize competing for a title with Delap is going to be very hard for us right now. I think there needs to be some level of honesty next season with Delap. Compete the title is going to be quite hard for us. No, because I think the reason why I would say that is that Delap's probably going to need some time because he still needs to develop himself too. That's one thing I think we need to be somewhat honest about. I get what you mean by Osimhen. I think Osimhen at the end of the day, whether I like him or not,
get someone to compete.
You said that?
Not you. No.
Oh, sorry.
Like,
whether or not, whether or not.
I agree with
obviously, you, obviously, you know my fault. I've probably if to bring in Osimhen, you have to bring in Osimhen. I think of Jonathan David. That's a personal preference of mine that I just don't really
understand. Yeah,
you know what I mean. But again, that's why I said personal preference. But if he comes in and he does a job for me, I can hold that smoke. That's the way I would put it. But I think for me, at the end of the day, guys, though, realistically, Jackson, it's not just, I think for me, as of recently, I would actually argue, been just the goal scoring that I think's let Jackson down. I actually would argue it's been a performance aspect to his game that's been letting us down too. That's probably where I would go actually specifically with him. Because there's been quite a few games, even if I remove the 4 games that he had losses in a row, where I felt like his presence hasn't been felt as much. Like there's been quite a few games where I felt that, and I think a bit that has been playing a big part for us in terms of at least the way he's been playing for us at the end of the day. And I just look at it. I look at the wingers that we've got. I think the problem that we've got about wingers is the wingers we've got are Croatian wingers, barring obviously Noni Madueke, right? I think we'll admit that Sancho for me is much more of a creator than he's a scorer. He needs to same with Neto. Is it? Can you hear me now? Yeah, but but I think you guys get the point, right? And again, who do you bring in for goal scoring? Because I know we all have our different thoughts and opinions, and that is that. But realistically, guys, we need to look at what's going to happen in January. And for me, it's only going to be I think the only thing that comes in is a centre back, and if that's the case, I then need to be looking at you, Maresca, and asking the valid question, which is, we got to start trusting some of these guys. If you don't think Nkuku can work in there, let's at least have a game of Felix maybe in that. I know I don't like that idea on a personal level, but we need to start trying other stuff to make stuff happen when things are not going well.
Sticking to the striker conversation, Ahmed, I heard what you said. You don't think we can compete with Jackson. However,
right now though, I'm talking about right now. Yes.
Right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Right now. I get that. Would you say Arsenal are still in a title race?
No.
Okay.
No.
Would you say they're competing though? And they have been competing the last 2 seasons.
Getting hype.
They haven't. They have, technically speaking. Yes, I would say yes. They have. Yeah.
Liverpool, you think are probably going to win it this season?
Yes.
Do both those teams have strikers?
But I think I know the point you're getting at, and I know you've said the point already, and I agree with that point. I think the issue for me is that we have the opposite problem though, right? Because we've got guys that create too much and not score too much. That's why that's why I'm speaking about Jackson specifically, at least because we are opposite to a lot of the teams that you're talking about, where the guy at least they've got guys that can score a lot of goals. Our issue is that we have the inverse issue, right? Where we've got a lot of creators, but on the wings, but not enough shooters. Does that make sense? Like,
Also,
so go ahead.
I think it's a little bit different as well because, like,
yeah,
especially with Liverpool, they don't have a striker, but they have a goal scorer in Salah. They have the best player in the league.
Exactly.
And it's like if Palmer,
right? So yeah,
no, but if Palmer was doing like, this is not me blaming Palmer, but I'm just saying if Palmer was scoring the same number of goals he was last season, I think the talk about Jackson, he's highlighted less because the onus on scoring goals is less on him, right? But because Palmer is not a consistent goal scorer in this team, and I don't think he should have to be, like he shouldn't have to be, not again. That's the issue. Also, the Arsenal thing, they still need a striker. They've been calling for a striker because both their strikers aren't good enough. And that's the thing is, like, even whether they're competing, like they're only competing because their defense is so good. And you see this season, their defense has dropped off. They've gotten worse.
Scott,
So,
I
like,
disagree with you.
They still need a
Palmer
striker.
and Jackson are consistent goal scorers, but you know what the thing is? It's stupid to.
I have to disagree.
Okay, when I say consistent,
No. Let me make my point.
I know. Finish your point, Prime.
I mean, in terms of like, I think it's crazy for people to assume that a player is going to score in every single game and score every single chance. You're going to have off days. You're all going to have off games. But what helps is if Palmer or Jackson don't score, at least have someone else or two other people who you can get goals from. Your center backs. That's why I want a center back that has aerial threat, because we can trust him to pop up with a goal if needs be. That's what the old Chelsea teams had. It's what the old Man United teams had. It's what City had a few years ago, where if Haaland's having a bad day, KDB will pop up or Gundogan will pop up, or they'll score from a set piece from somewhere. That's what you need in your team, and that's what Chelsea should have been having.
Yeah, but
past few games, where if Palmer and Jackson are not scoring, we can win the game, say 2-1 or whatever, or say against Everton, we'll win the game based off, say, a Colwell header. We don't have any of that.
But if I may, Prime,
right, when I said about the consistency thing got away with Palmer, I mean more in the sense of if he was goal scoring on the same level as Salah, like if he was doing what Salah's doing this season.
Yeah. No, but
that's what I mean. Because then you look at what Salah's doing. Like their next best goal scorer is Diaz. He's on less goals than Jackson.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wanted to hit the point just quickly, Prime, about the centre backs before I go back to the point on Jackson. Yeah, I think our problem. I actually am a bit mixed on this take because I feel like the centre backs at times are not even getting good balls into the box. I would actually argue a lot of the time. I know, like the Palmer crosses, I'll be honest, are not that great. Enzo can probably put in a cross or two every now and then, that's great. But like the crosses into the box, I'd probably say have been quite subpar. I don't know about you guys, like in general, like there's not been that much into it. So like I feel like with that one, I'm a bit more 50-50 on it, if that makes sense.
Ahmed, was it you or someone else? Was it you or Jimmy or someone else? I heard that like we saw it today. We don't do enough low crosses.
That's what, yes, that was me. Remember after the team before, bro? No, we do not like. I don't know what it is. Yeah,
like you look today, like the Sancho one was kind of more of a pass. The Sancho one was kind of more of a pass, but even so, that's low across the ground to Palmer. He scores. The second one to Palmer where he misses was a low driven from Neto. It's like if you're not getting any luck in the air, and especially against teams that obviously we played Everton, you're not going to Brentford. We didn't really like. If you're going to play these teams that are good in the air and have tall, big centre backs, pause. Like the best thing you can do, especially like you saw today, right? Like Jackson in terms of all-round game, I think you said this earlier, Ahmed. I disagree with you slightly. I think his all-round game, he had Lacroix, especially first half, on strings when the ball was at his feet and like he was challenging with him. It's like in that situation, put the ball across the box for him. Like don't ask him to like win balls in the air.
But we know that, but the thing that's what's confusing me, Scott, a lot of the time, bro. Because like I feel like the attackers know this. Yeah, on some level, we know that he's not an aerially dominant. So why are we not doing that often? That's what's confused me for so long against these low block teams. You're not going to beat them in the air unless you've got a 6'5" dominant physical guy there. Like it's going to be very hard to be able to beat guys in the air. Pause. But like I just think for me personally, it just comes down to it. This again. is this a tactical thing, or is this like something that the Mariners just like put balls into the box and the players themselves just putting it into the air because that's what they know what to do best? So like again, I don't know if it's a miscommunication thing or is it just something that the players are just doing stupidly. But again, I just think my issue is, let's be a bit more helpful to the striker as well at the same time. But Jackson, for me, if I'm not mistaken, is not scoring his last 4 games.
Yep.
Now, listen, we can say that he's gone through a drought, which is fair enough. But at the same time, you know, this game, I think we can say, okay, sometimes the striker's not going to be able to save you. For example, this game. But like, there's been other games where it's been like, I need more from you there, bro. Does that make sense? I need you to be there, bro. I need you to be there, because like that's really the next level for Jackson, right? Where when we're not doing well, can I rely on you at times to do that job for me? Does that make sense? I get there's going to be games where I can't rely on you, and so I need Neto to be pulling his weight, Sancho, Madueke, the guy that was meant to be here but is currently got doping charges, right? But like, you know what I mean? But you guys get what I mean, right? I get what Prime's point is, but like for Jackson to reach that next level, I know Prime will agree when I say this. There needs to be a game where I just need you to do the job, bro. I just need you to be there, bro. Does that make sense, Prime?
I agree, but there are certain games where Jackson does do that. Like,
but I feel like the last...
remember against Brentford, Jackson wasn't having a good game. The goal he scored, magic by himself. The game against the goal he scored against West Ham, the second goal I think he scored against West Ham.
Leicester even.
What, the one we got put through, the 1v1?
Yes, where he still had work to do. Like, he's doing that this season, but the thing is, in games like this where we drop points, people will complain. I remember against Crystal Palace.
Why are you hiding the career
Ahmed, we know what Marshall is. We know what Marshall is. Cleveland. We know what he is. We can't change him. Anyway, the game against Palace at the Bridge, Jackson scored. He had one other chance,
JC, he was caught in transition.
and people still blamed Jackson for that game, why we drew. Even though Madueke had more chances that he missed.
That is fair. That's a fair point.
This fan base will always blame Jackson, and it's annoying.
But you know what that plays? I think again, this is what I look at the ownership, and I know Scott's heard me say this before. You guys have all heard me before. They have let this brother out to dry. This is the second season they've done that to him too, in my personal opinion, where they've just put the onus on him. They put the pressure on him. And listen, sometimes pressure builds diamonds, but sometimes pressure breaks bones. So, you know what I mean? So, listen, that's, you know what I mean? So, listen, we need to also realize that too. But, you know, I want to just come back to, you know, I don't know if you guys spoke about this because obviously I was away, you know, and I was actually, I was putting in Hall of Fame performances for Chelsea today, man, on these other random things, bro. You know, I was
Zachary, man of the match
performances. Yeah, I actually put Hall of Fame performances.
Why were you putting in man of the match performances?
Because I was on like some other shows, like, you know, where they talk about Chelsea, like, oh, you lost, you drew, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know, listen, I put in the real good performances today. You know what I mean? I was keeping it cheeky, but like, you know, I was just gonna say, you know, have you guys had the conversation about the Maresca and the bench yet? Have you? I'm assuming you've had that conversation yet.
Yeah, we talked about it.
And
I mean,
I wanted to
your thoughts, and
I wanted to just come in slightly. I know, sorry, bro. I just wanted to come back and say this slightly that, you know, I saw the comments that you made today about the bench stuff, which I thought was kind of egregious from him, if we're being honest. But like, my issue comes back to, again, and I know you guys heard me say this before. If you don't like some of these players, it's time then, you know, for you to speak to the board, and we need to make stuff happen respectfully. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you know, you signed a contract knowing that knowing that you had an agreement with the ownership in regards to, which is the same thing I said about Poch, where they said they will give you players. We need you to make it work as well. That's something else we need to discuss too, by the way. I know I've not been speaking about that much, but that's also something that's on Maresca. When he signed the dotted line, they told him, listen, this is a cooperative thing. We need you also to start, if we give you players, to make them work too. So that, I think this is a two-way street that I want to talk about that. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not.
No, I kind of agree with that. Like, I think that he does need to start trusting these guys, or like you said, like if he doesn't trust these guys, then get rid of them. There's no point in being here. Like, we're not paying for guys to have fucking school trips to like to every stadium under the sun and to have days out. Like, you're professional footballers. You need to play football and more than 10 minutes.
This goes back to what you said earlier about about our scouts. They can find talented young players, but their squad planning is poor. That is also due to the fact of we've not had any vision in terms of a long-term manager or a philosophy of how we really want to go about it on the field.
That's a good point.
Now that we have, well, at the beginning we didn't, but now that we have Maresca going into January and going into the summer, we can actually now have consistency in terms of the profile of players we're looking for and the ages and the experience.
But even on that though, Prime, like obviously you look at someone like Renato Vega, that's clearly someone signed to fit the system that Maresca plays, but he doesn't trust him. He doesn't play him.
That's what I'm saying.
I know.
And Prime quickly. And
my point, though. Yeah.
I was going to say quickly, Prime. Yeah. And the thing is, if this guy goes to Napoli, right, for example, which
He
is
won't play.
I doubt.
No. Listen, even if let's say hypothetically he does, like Conte decides to start playing this guy and actually starts performing, that's going to look kind of not good on Maresca, because like you're keeping this guy.
Conte will play him. He will play left centre back in the back three. He'll play left in the back.
He doesn't play a back three, by the way. I've been looking a lot.
No. Conte's not playing a back three now because they don't have the players to suit that. But that's why they're bringing in Vega, because he will play.
Oh, we lost Prime.
No.
Yeah, Prime was basically saying that he's gonna play the LTB one, which I hear, but the point I'm trying to make, guys, in general, if he goes down on loan, plays really well for 6 months, then wins a title that Serie A, who does that look bad on? That looks bad on Maresca, right? Because at the end of the day, then it's just and this is where I think for me it comes back to what I've said before. Start trusting these guys, bro. I feel like we sometimes it feels like Maresca's undervaluing the quality that is on the bench. That's what it comes down to me.
I feel like, Maresca's done so well this season that I feel like, and this is the thing, like these results are humbling because it brings you back to where you were in the beginning of the season, right? In terms of your mentality. Like, I get maybe it looks bad on Maresca, but then it reminds you like, well, shit, Maresca's inexperienced, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Like, we're treating him like he's like the finished product, like the Pep and the Jose that should be doing this, but he's not. And then there's another manager taking his chain. It's like, well, shit, he's going to make these mistakes. Like, maybe we overhyped him a little bit too much because he was getting good results, rightfully so, hyping him up. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? Now that this is happening, now I'm kind of like, yeah, I guess this is what happens when he's inexperienced, and that's on the directors.
And it's also, it goes back to the directors in terms of, like you said, Marshall, and it's, as I said earlier, it's like when we were playing well, you could like criticizing the directors was like you couldn't really do because we were playing so well. Like even if, because like, as I said, I've there have been feelings about these directors that I've thought for a while, but it's like we were winning, so it's like you can kind of like hold back those thoughts or like, okay, maybe I was wrong or whatever, but then these things happen and it's like, okay, it just highlights what I was already thinking. And the thing with the Vega thing as well with the directors is like, if it's a case of he isn't ready right now and Maresca's right, so he's another player that you've brought in, a young player that's not ready, that will be flipped. That's all the plan is then. Like if he's not ready right now, then you've brought the inner guy to be the backup left back who isn't good enough, who the only real plan is to flip him.
I don't think he is a left back. I think he's being misprofiled there. I think as a centre back,
regardless of what he is, Prime, it's like he's not playing. So what was the plan with bringing this guy in? At the moment, all it seems like is it's like he's just a guy to be brought in to play some games to flip for profit, and it's like that's all we're doing with these fucking kids.
Yeah.
Like at some point, the penny has to drop of like you've got to like at least it's not even like some of these. It's like how many of these kids or these guys we're buying, the young guys, are actually going to be in this team going forward?
Yeah.
Like it's Caicedo, it's Enzo, it's probably Esteval, it's Palmer, obviously. And that's it.
Like at some point, we need to stop bringing in for-profit players. Like we need to start bolstering the team. Like we need to bring in, like I get to an extent it's a safe risk to take, right? Like, okay, we're gonna bring in this player, we're gonna see if he works out for the first team, but if he doesn't, we can flip him. And that's kind of like, maybe that's what the Vegas signing was. Like, all right, he's cheap, he fits his profile, but if he doesn't work, we can flip him, versus like I'm getting this player because this is going to be a first team player. This is going to be an out and out starter. He's going to work out. Kind of like how Esteban is planned to be that way. Kind of how Cole Palmer was kind of brought in. Well, maybe not in that sense, but Jackson was brought in that sense, and Enzo and Caicedo, and go on and so on and so forth.
I disagree on the amount of players that you think need to be flipped or were planned to be flipped, Scott. I think their plan was that they thought it would take longer to develop into title challenger. They thought it would take another, 2 seasons or so. They didn't think we developed this quickly.
Relax.
Because
even the top 4 thing. So did they just think we were going to be top 4 guys for like years?
No, they thought maybe it would be a thing of like we're competing or trying to get top 4 this year. We get it this year. And then over the next season or 2, we then develop into title challengers. But with the way the league's panned out this season, it looks like next year we have to challenge. Which is why we now have to question every signing. Because if we had waited in 2 years' time, then Jackson is ready, say Vega is ready, say Sancho's ready, Neto's ready, Colwell's ready. But now, because we want to challenge next year, we have to question everything.
No, but even then, like I hit all of that, but like we're in a top 4 race now, and he still won't use Vega.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's so wrong.
We're in a top 4 race, and he won't use Hiu. We're in a top 4 race, and he won't use Felix. Does that mean that these guys aren't good enough to be in a top 4 race? If that's the case, then the fuck did we buy them for?
That's the point, Prime. That's the point I just come back to. Either you don't. This is where it comes back to. Either you don't rate them and you don't think they're good enough, or it's a thing, yeah, of you just not being able to make subs at the right time.
I just think he just doesn't fully trust the squad, which is fine. I get it for some players, but then again, it also doesn't make sense because you say you don't rate Vega or you don't rate you, but they've shown a lot more this season than the Sassy has, and you still play it. So you don't trust the squad, but then you're using the wrong players. The Sassy's proving to you why you don't trust the squad. But if you used Vega, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, if I think it was the press conference before this match where he came out and basically essentially admitted that he's playing players for the sake of keeping the morale up and the locker room morale up, and player rotation and overall, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the word everyone uses every time. What Tuchel, the man management. There you go. Like, he admitted, like, the Sassy plays because if he doesn't play, then he gets upset. I'm trying to give everyone a fair amount of minutes. I'm just saying, like, this goes for everyone.
Yeah, no, but I hear that, but like, fuck the Sassy, man. Like, who is this, man? Like, we're not talking about Thiago Silva, Sergio. We're not talking about a guy who's won shit.
Yeah, bro. It's also respectfully, bro.
We're talking about some
disrespectful.
With like no disrespect and like we're talking about some absolute nobody whose career highlight is finishing 3rd with Monaco.
Yeah,
bro.
If this is true, by the way, if this is true, because obviously we don't know for certain or anything, but if this is true,
Scott, respect Axel Wilson, Arthur, the Sassy,
the fridge,
Mr.
18-wheeler.
Axel the fridge, the Sassy.
Axel the brick, the Sassy, man.
No. You get his full name correctly. Axel Wilson Arthur the Sassy McInnes Belho. Okay, our center back.
That's the most English names in his middle.
But I have to say this quickly. Yeah,
man has Arthur and William or whatever it was.
Marshall, actually,
Wilson.
Marshall, yeah. You brought up, you did a little, the little video thing, yeah, of Pucrea. That's the guy I'm looking at now, and I'm actually a little bit. No. I'm worried about him because of the fact that he's been playing a lot of games. You know what I mean? He started, and like the thing is, bro, we talk about Caicedo, we talk a lot about what's it called, Enzo, yeah, and we talk about the fact they play heavy minutes and they start to look leggy. He's someone that deserves a little bit, rest time every now and then, bro. You know what I mean? He's barely getting any rest. You know what I mean? Like I do genuinely believe, yeah, this is a take of mine that listen, a lot of people may not like, yeah. Part of the reason why Gusto is playing so poorly, borrowing the system, and then he himself, obviously not letting his standards himself, is that guy got played through the ground completely last season, bro. Barely got any rest, bro, as well. And we don't want that to be the case as well for Cucurella. At least right now, that's what I would say.
I mean, I hear it, but to be fair, Cucurella got suspended, got to rest that game. Cucurella,
one game rest is not enough, Marshall. Though, like, let's be realistic.
That's more than Caicedo and Enzo. And I don't see their levels dropping that much. Cole gets played game in, game out. Who else?
But I feel like the role, you need to also understand the role. When you're at center back, bro, you're not covering. You know what I mean? That's like me cooking a goalkeeper like a centre back. Like you know what I mean? I get the Enzo Caicedo, but like Cucurella, the way he moves up and down the pitch consistently, doing that stuff, like you know what I mean? That is draining.
That is draining. Look, there's a few issues in the team. Obviously, we knew this already. That's why we, I don't think any of us really believe we were in a title race. So, like, listen, it's being exploited more and more. I think today, unlucky. On another day we win that 1-0. On another day we score our chances. It was just unlucky. Maresca does take some blame with the substitutions and how long he waited, but in terms of the setup, the win was there, but the players just weren't clinical enough. And sometimes these are the games where you have to win it by 1-0. If Palmer doesn't make that mistake, we're talking about a different result. So it is what it is. Now on to Morecambe in the FA Cup, where I expect it to be B team players. We'll get a little bit of a break to some of these players. And then Bournemouth is the one where I'm worried now, because if we lose to Bournemouth,
I think the Bridge Nation needs to go. The Bridge Nation is needed, man. Scott, I don't care, bro.
Why are you talking about yourself in the third person, you weirdo?
If Bournemouth,
that's it, man. That's it, bro. Only for the stream.
Beat us. That's 5 games where we're winless.
It's time for the Bridge for Bournemouth to get the win.
Stop interrupting Marshall, man.
Sorry, bro.
I'm trying to close this thing out. It's going to be a tough one. Like Vestergaard, like you said, we ain't ready for the Bournemouth high press, and I'm worried about that press because that was intense last game. They created a lot of chances like that, and I feel like it's only going. We got lucky last game. I don't think we're going to get lucky this one. So that's my 2 cents on it. I'm worried about it. I mean, if you guys want to chip in on the Bournemouth match, by all means, and then we'll close it out.
I'm just saying, man, I might need to make a trip to the stadium, bro. Just like, they need my no-win record, the no-loss record, man. So I might need to just go there to help out the lads, man. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Anyone else want to chip in on the Bournemouth match before we close it out?
It's on a weekday, correct?
That's a good question.
So I know we're pacing Morecambe on the weekend. I'm assuming it's going to be midweek.
Ahmed,
it's Saturday, and I think it's at home.
Ahmed, what game did you say you're going to?
The Bournemouth game, bro. The Bournemouth game at home.
Saturday is Morecambe, and then Tuesday is Bournemouth. Both at home.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Prime man. The Bridge Nation needs to come there to help the the Premier League record get back to normal.
I didn't mean to mute you. I meant to mute myself.
I know, Bessie.
Thank you. But yeah, Prime,
were
you going to say something?
The first of all, Ahmed, pause. Hey, yo.
What?
You said the Bridge Nation needs to do what somewhere? It needs to.
Bridge needs to go to the bridge to like get the W.
Bro, stop talking about yourself in the third person, you weirdo.
I love it, man.
Weird. Go on. Anyone else want to talk on the Bournemouth match before we close it out?
Nah.
Okay. I'm getting inside everybody. There's something happened.
We didn't speak on that. We didn't speak on that fraud there.
Who?
He's better than Zola, guys.
We spoke on Palmer. Is that what you're talking about?
Okay.
Yeah, we spoke on.
Oh, we spoke. Anyways. Spoken. Now we're on Jackson. Yeah. Ahmed, you noticed?
Yeah. Both.
Ahmed, you notice we spoke an hour on Jackson. But once it comes to Palmer,
we spoke an hour.
Interesting, man.
Anyways, all right, guys, we're gonna close it out here. Big up to everyone on the panel. Big up to everyone in the chat. Thanks for smashing the likes. Let's continue smashing the like on the way out, ladies and gents. If you are new here, check out the memberships. We do have 4 different tiers starting at 99p. Also, check out the Discord, because in the Discord, you guys can submit some videos maybe you want us to react to. I haven't done a Chelsea or Casually FC reacts in a while, but there is that option if you guys want to submit some react content that you want us to look at in terms of talk and discussion points. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do on the Discord, so check out the Discord community. We are a pretty active community on there. We do watch the games in there as well, so big up to everyone on the Discord. Check out the links in the description as well. We have everyone's content on here as well as the final whistle, so big up to Javon. We have the sideline view on there where we talk on Chelsea as well with Robert and Javon, and yeah, all the content's there. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe. And yeah, big up to the members as well. If you are of the proper casual tier and higher, you get a shout out at the end of the show, and that's going to be shout outs to Team 127, TM127, EE, Hassan Nawaz, Dark, Adrian, A. Suleiman, Scott, and Danish Maldini, who I forgot to add to this list. He's a match going casual now, so big up to Danish Maldini and everyone else on this list as well, and big up to all our other members. Enjoy those emojis as well. We're gonna raid out to, I believe I have it set up to Sarcasm City. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah,
they're not live.
Why not to League Gunner? Why not to League Gunner?
They're not live, bro.
They're not live anymore. We've been going for that long.
No, they ended like ages ago. Why do you think I started being more responsive in the stream?
I didn't know you watched other people's streams while you were on the stream. So
No. Just the Yardman show. Just the Yardman show. Normally I'm playing FIFA.
Okay, fair enough. But also, what the hell?
He don't respect you, Marshall, man. He don't respect.
I mean, you do the same thing. Don't even talk, bro.
I'm not playing any game.
Okay.
What game am I playing?
Yeah,
You're on the screen.
Listen, there's a reason there's a green hue on your face half the time when you're on the show.
Oh no,
so.
that's my natural screen. That's my natural screen. You know what I mean?
We're gonna point it out next time, guys. All right, but all right. Big up to everyone. Big up to everyone in the chat. We're gonna raid out to Lee Gunner. Lee Gunner.
There's no one live. He's not live.
He's live. I just checked.
Wait.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Is he?
He just ended his stream too. No, he's live. He's live. All right. So we're gonna.
Oh yeah, he is live. Emergency meeting. Of course, he's live.
I'm gonna go ahead. There's a raid message. Copy and paste raid message. Let Lee know where you're coming from, and we'll be back again tomorrow, guys, for the Casually Chelsea show. We'll be talking about news. We'll discuss Fofana. We'll discuss Reese, Badiashile, all that stuff that came up, the links, all the fun stuff. So be here for that, and we'll go from there. But as always, guys, have a wonderful night. As always, stay casual. Peace.
Marshall out.